Hey everybody, you're tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. You've done it. You've made it. Well, some of you have. Yeah, we're getting started just a little bit later today, but do not fret. The show is going to be as good as it's ever been. Let's see here. We've got any news. What news do we have? I don't know. I don't know if we have any news, except for you can go to CanaryCry.Party, especially you YouTubers. Remember, you'll be getting just half of the live broadcast, not because we don't love you, but because Susan doesn't love us. And so go ahead and do that. Go to CanaryCry.Party, find all of our different locations on which we stream, just waiting for you. Remember, we got the mixtape up on the website. You can just go to CanaryCryNewsTalk.com/mixtape. And, yeah, I just remembered. I forgot to add that to CanaryCry.Party. It'll be there soon. Okay. Oh, I will say, we've been kind of mentioning it here and there for the past week. If you are one of those people out there who perhaps you've never produced the show, but you support the idea of producing the show, you should try producing the show today. Today would be a wonderful day to do that. We are looking for some heroes today. It's probably the shortest list we've maybe ever had in producership, and we understand the inflation and gas prices and times are tough for sure, but remember we have the value for value model has kept us going through the pandemic, through all sorts of through 2 presidents now, through all sorts of stuff. So we believe and trust that the value for value model will come through for us again. So you can go to CanaryCryRadio.com/support to become one of our heroes today. Produce the show in any amount that you'd like, and you will, of course, will be eternally grateful. We'll thank you on the break. All right, everybody, I think we're about to get started, so hold on tight. It's going to be good. Stay hydrated. Let's go.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. We are live today, March 25th, 2022. This is episode 463. And today, Kim Jung Un-LEASHED. Razzle dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And here we are, once again.
That's right. Today's world events we'll be covering will include wars and rumors of wars. Of course, we'll be diving into the ongoing Ukraine situation. We're going to be talking about some new robots who are going to be taking your jobs. Of course, we'll be diving into the Supreme Court nomination and the hearings that are going on with that, checking in with Jeff Bezos, checking in with the Pope, and of course, rounding out the show with a new and exciting Antarctica update. So you've got a lot to look forward to today, but Gonz, I think it's time we start with our lead story.
And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
That's my placeholder North Korea jingle, because we don't have an official North Korea or Kim Jung Un jingle.
Oh, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's going to be enough North Korea news that will need an official jingle?
It's good to have in the bank, so in the meantime,
I mean, we are potentially moving into World War III.
Yeah.
And Kim Jung Un is on the Axis powers officially.
True.
So we might need that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell me what's going on.
Well,
this is a very from the title of the show to the art of the show to this new sort of slapdash jingle at the top. Kim Jong Un is playing quite a role in today's show, huh?
Yep, he's all the attention today.
We begin with breaking news. North Korea fired a suspected long-range ballistic missile toward the sea this morning. Its first such test since 2017. The White House condemned the launch, saying it was a brazen violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions and added that it, quote, needlessly raises tensions in the region. In the meantime, South Korea's president called an emergency meeting. He criticized North Korea for breaking a self-imposed moratorium on ICBM tests.
Okay, so anytime they want, they being the Western media, they can say North Korea, Kim Jong Un doing some missile tests, like at any point. But for some reason, today was the day, and I think it has to do with some of the Ukraine attention waning, and they got to keep the international fear mongering going. But at the same time as this report about the missile test went out, something else went viral all over the interwebs, and it's summarized in this Reuters article. Headline: North Korea media give Kim Jong Un Top Gun treatment in missile coverage. And I know you haven't watched this.
Another cool propaganda?
Oh my goodness!
CGI fun time?
Oh, it's not CGI.
Oh,
it's not CGI at all. I almost want you to read this, and then I want to play it in the background, because most of it is just dramatic music and then the visuals going on. But I had you, Basil, purposely not watch it, right?
Yes.
So
which took every ounce of my willpower.
So let's go ahead and take a look here. It's only a couple minutes long, and I'll try to describe what's happening. This is the North Korean propaganda. So there's big doors opening. Kim Jong Un walking out. He's got some sunglasses, a cool leather jacket, black leather jacket. He's got two officers on either side of him, probably some generals, and then the huge missile behind him.
Wow!
And of course some B-roll of the missiles.
Looks so cool.
Oh yeah!
Ooh, look at that!
Oh yeah! Missiles, baby.
I love the paint job too.
Yeah, you're on a delay too, so
I am. I'm on a big delay.
Mm-hmm. It gets better. Okay, so now it's Kim Jong Un looking at his watch, and then some of his generals looking at their watch. Dramatically, it's cutting to the other general. Back to Kim Jong Un. Slow zoom, zoom, zoom. Edit, cut. Sunglasses off. Nod.
Oh my God.
Some North Korean soldiers yelling, pushing a button. Oh yeah,
the
baby.
tension.
Oh yeah.
The tension is incredible. Oh my God.
And the music, and then we get the narration there, the Korean. We're gonna sit through this. 30 seconds to go. There's some Korean narration going on. There's a camera on the rocket. The rocket is moving further and further away from Earth. Kim Jong Un looking up through a window, pointing at the rocket. Rocket exploding or going through some kind of phase shift there.
Yeah.
Cheering. Kim Jong Un cheering with his two officer general dudes. Slow motion clap. Soldiers celebrating. Oh yeah, this is
They're very happy about this. What a victorious moment! And for those who are just listening to the podcast, let me tell you, the production quality, the energy that went into this, the attention to detail. They had a real cinematographer on a lot of this. The camera angles, it's all just completely outstanding. I mean, as a piece of media, of course, we know this is meant to do all sorts of things in sort of a nefarious propaganda sense. But my gosh, could Biden get this team together and do some cool Biden videos?
For whatever reason, the U.S. government media department is just behind. I don't know if it's equipment or what, but
well, I mean, it is a matter of taste. Of course, it's objectively cheesy, but it's also the greatest thing that I've ever seen. This is how you control a population, folks. None of this stammering old man getting mad for no reason and squinting into the camera.
Yeah,
we need him in some sunglasses. We need a leather jacket. We need some epic music. We need some zoom shots. Oh my gosh, so many zoom shots.
Slow motion zoom, all of it. The pan. One of the sentences in the Reuters article, state television broadcasts a heavily produced video of the launch featuring flashy effects and edits. International online commentators compared the video to the movie Top Gun or the South Korean K-pop hit Gangnam Style.
I feel that. I see that. Oh my gosh, if Psy came out at the end in his big fur glitter jacket or something, that would have been perfect.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there you go. That's a little piece of propaganda.
Love it.
And again, part of this has to be about continuing the international fear circuit going. And we were talking about this before the show, Basil, how it's kind of like, oh, it's North Korea's turn. You know, North Korea is kind of a bench warmer. You don't really get that much attention throughout the year.
Put me in, coach.
Every once in a while, it's like, well, we're running thin, so Kim Jung Un, get out there, show us what you got, and we got this great production here. So good job. We'll consider more minutes for North Korea.
Yeah, really, really well done, Kim Jung Un. I mean, you're a horrible person, a pretty bad leader, and your haircut is. You know what? I'll say it's classic. It's so classic that Elon Musk copied it that one time. So, I guess I can't say anything bad about that. But yeah, it is interesting as we move into these truly theatrical phases of the, World War III narrative. Getting Kim Jong Un to sort of step onto stage. It's almost like he's almost like a cameo.
What if Kim Jong Un and North Korea decides to rocket Russia? Goes all
secret, a double agent.
Just decides to rocket.
Turns out
Russia.
Kim Jong Un has been on our team ever since Trump visited.
Yeah, he's tired of the war.
Pretending.
He wants more attention. He'll do that for some street cred. Some NATO street cred.
Considering Kim Jong Un's sort of position in the world, the authoritarian dictator of a impoverished, northern Asian country with a reputation for being sort of a petulant child who kills his family members for fun and starves his people and, aligns with China and Russia and sort of anti-Western, alliance. Mm-hmm. The act of pulling an old switcheroo and doing something to take Putin's focus from Ukraine. I mean, God forbid. I don't want him to
I don't want him to either, but
I don't want him to trigger some sort of nuclear domino effect or something.
I mean, they are pretty close to Russia.
I mean, the dude is
touching.
The dude is flashy. He likes to make a statement, as is evident by this video. That would make a statement, Kim. That would make a statement.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Anyway, great job. Got everyone's attention and, got everyone freaked out about North Korea again. But it all has to do with Ukraine, obviously.
Fight for Ukraine. Ukraine. New world order.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
Biden visited NATO and he did a little press conference. Got some clips from that. This is the chemical weapons question and answer. Remember last time we saw Biden, he was divulging information from secret meetings. He was like, I was in a secret meeting. I forget the exact terminology he used.
Right. Yeah.
Where he was talking about the number
just kind of casually giving away the conversations in it. Yeah, what was it? It wasn't secret.
It was about the New World Order. He was talking about the 60 million people killed in the the early whatever. Yeah. The whole deal. So anyway, somebody must have tapped his shoulder and said, "Hey, President Biden, you can't be divulging secret meeting information."
Have you gathered specific intelligence that suggests that President Putin is deploying these weapons, moving them to position, or considering their use? And would the U.S. or NATO respond with military action if he did use chemical weapons?
On the first question, I can't answer that. I'm not going to give you intelligence data, number one. Number two, we would respond. We would respond if he uses it. The nature of the response would depend on the nature of the use.
See, that sounds like a very toe the line.
What exactly did he say? I couldn't even understand him. Can you play it one more time?
Sure. Let me take it from his response here.
If he did use chemical weapons.
On the first question, I can't answer that. I'm not going to give you intelligence data, number one. Number two, we would respond. We would respond if he uses it. The nature of the response would depend on the nature of the use.
Nature of the response would depend on the nature of the use.
Right. That is weird, though, because the question was,
how would you respond, or would you respond?
How would you respond? And he says, it's a secret, but it would be good. You know that. we would respond, and it depends what he does, but then we would do something. But it's a secret.
It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
you're right.
Ridiculous.
So it was almost like a kind of a PR correction. Like, no, I don't talk about secret things. So,
but then he gives a playbook, a general playbook.
I don't know what other Biden speech you've heard, but I don't give away secret information.
But we'll respond. The way we'll respond will depend on how Putin. It's like, okay, that kind of gives away the strategy.
Yeah, well, I saw a headline that referred to what he said here, and maybe this came up later, but he said we would respond in kind. Did you see any of that or hear any of that?
I feel like that was a while ago, though. I thought that was like an early clip. Maybe it was from this.
I saw it just yesterday, and people were worried, like, oh, wait, if he uses chemical weapons and we respond in kind, are you saying that we would use
chemical weapons on
Yeah,
Russia?
and then Jake Sullivan was on, this was on the way to Poland when they were on the plane.
Okay.
And Jake Sullivan was on Air Force One and had to respond from Air Force One being like, no, we're not going to use chemical weapons. We never have and we never will. That's just media spin.
Yeah.
Okay, Jake Sullivan, CIA man.
Another aspect of the press conference that was getting some play has to do with the food shortage. I'm hungry. And let's see. Where is the... Oh, here it is. Here's the question. I edited this together because this question was two parts. It was about China and then about food shortages. So I clipped the question and then straight to the answer. The China one was kind of a milquetoast answer, so not as interesting. But here we go, about food shortages.
Can you say whether this, the conversation today turned to the subject of food shortages and what the U.S. will do to address wheat shortages in particular as a result of this war? Thank you.
With regard to food shortages, yes, we did talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia.
Before we go on, that little clip is something that a lot of people shared, that it's going to be real.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Oh, okay. So we are going to have food shortages then, I guess. I had there's some, Twitter's great because people just dig stuff up. I found this 40-second clip from Joe Biden's Twitter, his personal Twitter at Joe Biden. This was published back in 2020, and he talks about food shortages.
Not his government Twitter, his personal Twitter.
His personal Twitter at Joe Biden. Yep.
Got it.
We don't have a food shortage problem. We have a leadership problem. We have plenty of food. It's being plowed under. You're euthanizing cattle and pigs. They're out there making sure that they're pouring thousands of gallons of milk under the ground. It's not a food shortage, it's a lack of leadership. And the leadership goes across the board. I mean, we have the best agricultural system in the world. It's the leadership that's we can't afford to let people go wondering where they're going to get their next meal. And so right now, hunger today isn't about scarcity. It's about massive failure in leadership.
Yeah, you should talk to current Biden. Future or past Biden should talk to current Biden.
Yeah, I remember that time in the, during the pandemic and during the, I don't know, all the immediate sort of hubbub of the whole thing. That's when Trump did his Farm to Families program. And just the government bought a bunch of food and just gave it out with a nice little election, postcard on the inside. But still, so that's funny. I wonder if he said this before or after. From
that point for the Trump thing. I don't know. It's May 2020.
If Trump did it in response to Biden, or if Biden just didn't know Trump was doing that, or was trying to obscure it somehow or something. But yeah, that's funny. So in his own words, we're waiting for the leadership. It's not a food problem, Biden. Show us that your leadership will take us through.
It's not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well.
He says that sanctions are placed on not just Russia, but European countries and our country as well.
Yeah, it's just a weird. Again, he's just doing a bad job. I thought
the sanctions were on Russia, but why are they on us?
I know. Well, see, and that is kind of part of it. Is there are sanctions, and what he's trying to say is that we all suffer, and us trying to stop Russia. It will. We have to pay for it. It's your patriotic duty to pay $10 a gallon. That whole thing. But again. Dang it. Again, sorry, I keep hitting my mic. But yeah, okay, keep going.
Okay. European countries and our country as well. And because both Russia and Ukraine have been the breadbasket of Europe in terms of wheat, for example, just give you one example. But we had a long discussion in the G7 with both the United States, which has a significant, the third largest producer of wheat in the world, as well as Canada, which is also a major producer. And we both talked about how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages. And in addition to that,
disseminate more rapidly food shortages.
Him and NATO wants to disseminate food shortages more rapidly. Straight out of the president's mouth.
Yeah, it's kind of like just kind of like the dangers of the vaccine. This vaccine is spreading rapidly.
Let me play it one more time just so people can soak it in. And I think he just lost his train of thought, and he just said food shortages, but the words strung together make it sound like he is planning the food shortages, rolling it out.
Of wheat in the world, as well as Canada, which is also a major producer. And we both talked about how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages. And in addition to that, we talked about urging all the European countries and everyone else to end trade restrictions on sending limitations on sending food abroad.
What are you saying? Oh my gosh. The dude cannot get a single sentence out straight. This is the leader of the free world, quote unquote. This is the man who's uniting the West. This is bad. That's maybe worse. That's in the top 10 worst times he's tried to speak.
Yeah, it's got to be up there. A couple more things here from the NATO press conference. He talked about creating a council to look for the people who are violating the sanctions.
We also did discuss today that there's a need for us to set up, NATO to set up, and the EU to set up a system whereby we have an organization looking at who has violated any of the sanctions and where and when and how they violated them. then that's something we're going to put in train. It's not done yet.
First off, they don't already have that. And second, thanks for more bureaucracy.
Right.
There's more reason to fund the NATO, all this stuff. Anyway,
did he say put and train or put and train?
Put and train, yeah, like a dog, something like that.
Yeah, so there's not already some sort of somebody looking at this. You just sort of say it and hope people.
He signed some papers and then he looked around. He's like, well, who's going to keep track of all this stuff?
Sure, totally. But I mean, what a great throwback to sort of the America World Police role. Somebody's got to keep an eye on everybody and make sure nobody's doing business with Russia. We better make sure that they're disseminating food shortages and not getting good deals on wheat from Russia. It really is. I mean, if you think about it in a broader sense, it is exactly. I mean, again, the truth loves to just kind of leak out in its own way. It can't help it. And when you talk about it in the broader sense, not the sort of minutia of Biden being just sort of an inarticulate bag of raisins, but the Great Reset aspect of it. I mean, the things need to collapse. The world needs to be in a bad place. And so the stakeholders can swoop in and fix the problem. I don't even think Biden thinks this is about Biden anymore. It's almost giving him too much credit to think that he is doing this in some sort of self-serving political way. The only thing that makes sense is that there's some sort of larger plan that he's playing his part in, and it's not conspiracy theory. It's called the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset. So yeah, it's a perfect sort of setup to have the heroic stakeholders come in and solve these problems.
Got one more thing here. At the end of the press conference, somebody asked a question, and Biden jumped or just picked out a word from the question and really went after the person who asked the question here.
Hey, wait, hold on a second, please.
Oh, jeez, Louise. He's already getting mad.
He's getting mad.
Grandpa's mad.
Okay, I'm just going to play it.
I was supposed to be an hour ago at the European Union meeting and to speak. No, I'm thanking you. So someone I haven't called on before. You. Who are you?
I'm Christina from CBS.
Do you hear that? Me. Ooh, me. It reminds me of when I was in, children's church, and the Sunday school teacher would be like, "Okay, who wants to answer a question about the Bible and earn a Tootsie Roll?" Ooh, me.
Okay.
Yes,
all right. Sorry, Gonz, to make a reference that you haven't had before.
No, I totally understand.
You understand the concept.
No, the concept and yes, I had it in my own context, but more so, good. Just candy being handed out.
You.
I'm Christina from CBS. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, deterrence didn't work. What makes you think Vladimir Putin will alter course based on the action you've taken today?
Let's get something straight. You remember if you covered me for the...
He's mad.
Let's get something straight.
What makes you think Vladimir Putin will alter course based on the action you've taken today?
Let's get something straight. You remember, if you covered me from the very beginning, I did not say that, in fact, the sanctions would deter him. Sanctions never deter. You keep talking about that. Wow. Sanctions never deter. The maintenance of sanctions.
The what?
The maintenance of sanctions.
Maintenance.
The increasing the pain.
Increasing
and the
pain.
demonstration why I asked for this NATO meeting today is to be sure that after a month we will sustain what we're doing, not just next month, the following month, but for the remainder of this entire year. That's what will stop him.
You believe the action today will have an impact on making Russia change course in Ukraine?
That's not what I said. You're playing a game with me. I know. The answer is no. I think what happens is we have to demonstrate the purpose. The single most important thing is for us to stay unified. And the world continue to focus on what a brute this guy is. And all the innocent people's lives are being lost and ruined and what's going on. That's the important thing. But look, if you're Putin and you think that that Europe is going to crack in a month or 6 weeks or 2 months, why not? They can take anything for another month. But we have to demonstrate. The reason I asked for the meeting, we have to stay fully, totally, thoroughly united. Thank you.
I actually kind of understand what he's saying. And it lines up with what he was doing in January and February, where they weren't putting sanctions on Putin yet. They waited until he actually acted. And so to call it a deterrent, I guess, is technically untrue. Because they didn't do anything to deter him. He was already doing it. It was more like a punishment. Remember, Biden was using the word punishment quite a bit. But in his own special way, letting us know that, all the pain, not just that Russia and Putin are feeling right now with the sanctions, but the pain that, the American people are feeling, prices at the pumps and inflation and we can expect it to go on for at least the rest of the year. This is going to be a long-term thing. And I find it, I guess it's just relevant. I've also heard an estimate that this could easily go 2 years, which I think is interesting considering we just got out of a 2-year pandemic. They're planning for a 2-year, financial pullback, not just on the U.S., but on the entire world. Yeah. The only thing I can say is, hey, if you play your cards right, there'll be a lot of money to be made in 2 years.
True. Yeah. Buy the dip. I did a deep dive on sort of the difference between what, linguistically a sanction, according to Merriam-Webster, in the context of what what they're doing, an economic or military coercive measure adopted usually by several nations in concert for forcing a nation violating international law to desist or yield to adjudication. And of course, deter being more of like a block, type
trying
of situation,
to avoid
or impede
them in the future type of thing.
Right. And then desist is more of an abstain, kind of thing. So,
you're trying to stop them.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of a word game there. The results are sort of the same, but the words being used are a little different.
I don't know. And we were chatting about this before, the difference between a desist or a what's the other one?
Deter versus desist.
Deterrent. Right. Yeah. I mean, one happens before the fact, the other happens after the fact. One is more of a warning.
Desist is to stop, deter is to prevent, kind of thing. Yeah.
One is more of a warning. The other one is a punishment. And it does make me wonder, could there have, that was the critique that Biden was getting before I remember laughing about it on this show, him just sort of like meandering on about sanctions that they were going to do if Putin, did something. Right. And that was, I guess the warning would have been a deterrent, but it was not deterrent enough. So, again, it's just punishing the whole world, really.
Yeah. And we don't have time to really dig too deep into it, but just to mention it, I think it's important to say here and to report at least the headlines here. This is CNBC.com. Russia is considering selling its oil and gas for Bitcoin as sanctions intensify from the West. So that was a very interesting thing where I think one of the military guys from Russia basically said hey, we'll use whatever to sell our stuff. If it's Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin. So I think that was the translation. Which again is very interesting because that fits a narrative that Elizabeth Warren is trying to push out there here in America. It's only the criminals use Bitcoin. But it works when it comes to the Russia sanctions.
The other side of that is that Bitcoin could become the new sort of petrodollar, or something,
especially out. If China. I don't know about China, but Russia can certainly do that. But I wanted to mention this as well because it's relevant. Bloomberg Green headline: Exxon weighs taking gas to Bitcoin pilot to 4 countries. So Exxon, yeah. The oil giant launched its Bakken crypto pilot in January 2021. Miners are pushing to use flared gas to power operations. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting, like why is Exxon Mobile looking at energy or looking at Bitcoin, especially it's specifically Bitcoin mining. I think there's some
so
kind
what they
want to
do is provide gas, energy. Gas. I'm assuming they mean LNG or something.
Yeah.
To power Bitcoin mining operations.
Something like that. Yeah, let me read this. The oil giant has an agreement with Crusoe Energy Systems, Inc. to take gas from an oil well pad in the Bakken Shale Basin to power mobile generators used to run Bitcoin mining servers on site, said the people who asked. Yeah,
I see that. They're talking about burn off from the process. You know, these oil refineries or these oil, I don't know what they call them, pumps or whatever. They just burn a lot of gas. There's just wasteful gas. Same thing with solar. If you got a powerful solar thing, you just end up shunting a bunch of energy into the ground because you can't store it. But part of the process with LNG and other gas is you just got to burn a bunch of it. So they want to send all this extra gas to go fire up some generators and mine some Bitcoin. Sounds like a party to me.
You know what I think is going to happen is, the whole ESG stakeholder capitalism thing. I think a lot of that, I think they're going to suddenly flip it onto Bitcoin and be like, if you're not helping mine Bitcoin, you're wasting, it's kind of like, because it's waste, right? It's
you mean
waste
in
terms of
right, yeah. It's
going
to be burned anyways. You might as well create some sort of value out of it.
Yeah. So it's green to do this. So
there's a fascinating connection there. I want to hear what you think, actually.
I think that, and especially because we've seen a lot of big time people start to move into Bitcoin a couple days ago. Who was the big one that announced? It wasn't JP Morgan. I forget who it was, but somebody big is coming in. So I think there's a chance that they're going to do something to peg some kind of world currency to Bitcoin or some part of the economy, economy to Bitcoin. It's going to be energy based.
Well, here's what I think this connects to what you're saying. So as of, recently or the lifetime of Bitcoin, there is a connection. I'm not saying it's a 1-for-1 or that they're pegged or whatever, but there is a connection between the price of electricity and the value of Bitcoin, because a huge deciding factor of Bitcoin and its existence is the power that it takes to run the computers, to run the miners.
Right.
And so that's why it's really hard to be profitable in Bitcoin unless you have free power, whether that's hydropower or solar or
it forces
geothermal.
Everybody to go green especially when they're looking at the energy consumption, even though the energy consumption already is very low compared to other industries.
Sure, but that's where it was. It used to be the price of electricity has a really big impact on Bitcoin mining. But if you take the electricity as a utility out of the process,
then it's pure profit.
Switch it, you base it on gas.
Right.
Now you have Bitcoin that is sort of semi-pseudo tied to the price of natural gas and not electricity. So it's actually a total win for gas producers in a world that is otherwise trying to get rid of gas producers.
Right. Right.
In Europe, no new homes can be built with connections to gas pipelines. It's all electricity, it's all solar. So, the gas industry is feeling the burn, if you will, and, looking into the future and seeing there's powerful forces trying to make gas companies obsolete. But if gas companies can get their little fingers into the Bitcoin pie, I think that makes it even more of a connection between Bitcoin and its future as some sort of like energy currency,
energy asset, energy reserve asset. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
And it's more than anything, it then philosophically, Bitcoin can be seen as a store of what would otherwise be wasted energy. We turned this wasted gas into value, which kind of does fit in with an ESG great
100%.
reset type of thing.
100%.
Okay, I get it. I like it.
I think some of the bad PR is to lower the prices these corporations can get in. Roll the boat back, get all the rich people in there.
Okay.
So there you go. That's some interesting angles to all of this, and especially with the Russian, one of the guys, I forget who he is, basically saying, "Hey, yeah, we'll accept Bitcoin for our oil exports and stuff." So,
it's important. It's absolutely essential to not focus completely on the military aspect of what's going on, and zoom out and watch the whole master plan, as it happens, because this is the real world shaping stuff. That we've had these politicians and world leaders talk about the new world order and how the world's never going to be the same after this. It's not just because there was a military offensive from Russia, but it's the response. And the response is using the crisis to completely shift the world order and the world economic setup. So, okay, sounds good. Love it, Gonz. And man, it is the end of the week, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's Friday, It's Friday, It's Friday. It's Friday,
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, there you go. We can keep playing with the Friday thing. Yes, we can. Man, I am feeling the end of the week here. I don't think I have any personal notes. Do you?
Neither do I.
No, I think we should just move on and thank our executive producer for the day.
Ooh. Executive producers.
Forgot. Am I supposed to say something over that bed?
I think you can. We haven't done it yet.
But I totally blacked out for a second.
That's okay.
Anyways, that's right, folks. We're on the value for value model. No affiliate codes, no advertisements, no connections to corporate money whatsoever. We are entirely independent, which means we are independently financed by our producers. And our producers are listeners just like you who understand the value for value model. They appreciate that this show is not wrapped up in corporate money and therefore corporate interests. And that can take many forms. Like I mentioned, advertising, affiliate codes, underwear subscriptions, online mattress sales, but also things as things as seemingly innocent as premium subscriptions or bonus content or whatever. But none of that, folks. We're entirely produced by our producers, and that's why we want to thank our executive producer here up top, which we do have one executive producer today, and their name is executive producer Debbie N.
Thank you, Debbie N.
Indeed. And, hit that jingle. She's the executive producer. There we go. Thank you very much, Debbie N., for coming in and being such a generous producer. We'll be thanking you later on in our first break. I mentioned it in the pre-show, but I'll just mention it one more time here. We do have an executive producer, which is we're very grateful for. But the sort of drought continues, the value for value drought. So we definitely have more room to thank more producers today. We trust the value for value model, which is to say we trust you, dear listeners, that if you get value out of the show, it is a point of personal responsibility to support any independent media that is not taking corporate money if you want to live in a world that has independent media, consistent, reliable independent media. So we appreciate our producers. We'll thank them again later on in the show. But we do have room for some more producers. We understand that Times are more uncertain possibly than they've ever been. The gas pump is not helping. The inflation is not helping. Things are tough across the board. But the value for value model kept us going through 2 presidents now and a pandemic and all sorts of stuff. So we do trust that the producers who get value from this will put some value back in. You can go to Canary Cry News Talk. Nope. Go to CanaryCry.com /support.
CanaryCry.com/support.
Okie dokie. Well, it's, you know who's always been there for us, Gonz?
Flippy.
Yeah.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Flippy won't let us down.
He won't let us down. He'll never let us down because he's so high in the sky. This is coming from TechCrunch.com. Oh, for those who don't know, Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and just how there's nothing we can do about it. Today, Flippy updates coming from TechCrunch.com, and the headline: Skyline scores $6.5 million to wash windows with robot arms.
Whoa.
That's right. Flippy is taking flight, or at least hanging out on a big elevator on the side of buildings. And the article reads like this: I would put window washing fairly high, so to speak, on the list of jobs it makes sense to automate. Certainly, the gig qualifies as both dirty and dangerous, and surprisingly, doesn't come with all that much in the way of hazard pay. That's something you would think might come standard with a job that requires you to dangle hundreds of feet in the air. Skyline made some news last year with the delivery of Osmo, a robotic system designed to clean those hard-to-reach spots on the sides of skyscrapers, facade maintenance as it's known. At its base, the system is a pair of KUKA industrial robotic arms mounted on a suspension platform. It uses LiDAR to determine the proximity of the glass it intends to clear, while relying on force sensors to ensure it doesn't break anything in the process. Ooh, Flippy, you're so strong. Baked-in algorithms ensure a steady robotic hand under extremely windy conditions, while the company says it's capable of recalculating an optimal cleaning path hundreds of times per minute. Whoa. Today, the New York-based startup announced $6.5 million in what it's deemed pre-Series A funding. Honestly, these funding round labels are beginning to lose any meaning they may have had. Skyline Standard Holdings led the round. The round brings the firm's total funding up to $9 million. Quote, this successful funding, it just goes into investment stuff now. So there you go, Gonz. No longer is Flippy relegated to household chores, flipping burgers, and deep frying French fries. They're sending Flippy high up into the sky. And, you know, I've never lived in New York, but from what I've gathered from Hollywood movies and just sort of absorbed through culture, is that there are some, you know, respected, dangerous jobs that are sort of unique to big cities like that. And one of them is, you know, window washers who are out there. They're the men up high in the sky washing the windows. They come down in their little elevator and just kind of sit there in front of your office window for a while. Pretty sure there's been some movies with some romantic, some romantic comedy built around this concept. But no longer do you get to see some strange man outside of your building window washing your window. Now it's just Flippy. It's Flippy. No face, no attitude, no mysterious rom-com possibilities. Simply a robot arm. It does make sense to have Flippy do this. You know, if we talk about the trend of robots taking over our jobs, the fairy tale promise of the robot job takeover is that they will do the dangerous jobs and the boring jobs and the this and the that. And so far, they've pretty much just taken jobs from 16-year-olds. But this one, if you're going to have Flippy taking somebody's job, at least put Flippy in danger. What do you think? You have any opinion on skyscraper window washing?
I don't think the actual scraping is the issue. I think that is perfectly fine. Get those robot arms working, keep people safe. I am more concerned about the surveillance apparatus that can be associated with this.
Yeah,
there's a Reader's Digest article here from 2021, the 10 craziest things professional window washers have ever seen. And, lists a bunch of people doing naughty things and being caught in the window laughing at something happening, stuff like that. So it's a thing, it must be part of window washer culture to be like, hey, we've seen some crazy things going on in these buildings. And why not? Why not attach a surveillance apparatus onto this Flippy Skyline device?
That's a perfect panopticon.
And it will not only will it wash your windows, it will make sure your workers are staying busy,
Yeah. It's
if you were an owner of a building, it would be in your interest to at least have some kind of monitoring system where, it won't really do anything about stuff unless there are legal ramifications.
Right. There's a protocol.
Right. So
there's a protocol that decides. Yeah. It's when it comes to any tech, and when there's algorithms involved and when there's AI involved, literally every single piece of technology that has come out in the past few years that includes these aspects, data is a part of the business model. You cannot sustain that business without data. And I don't know if there's camera. They said they have LiDAR. See, they specifically talked about the LiDAR. They did not mention visual cameras. And I think that's a huge... I think that was very intentional. We can't put cameras on these things.
Well, it's a separate. It could be like a separate feature. It could be a third-party company coming in. It's a whole different kind of industry there. Surveillance or video surveillance. So
data, man. Data is everything. So
touch that data.
There you go. That's just a little fun Flippy update for you.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Let's party. Go to CanaryCry.Party.
Party time.
Oh yeah, find the live stream, find all the ways you can connect with us at CanaryCry.Party.
Welcome to CanaryCry.Party. It's the place you wanna be. So stay. Welcome to CanaryCry. Gameplay, CanaryCry.Party.
That's right. Go check it out. CanaryCry.Party is everything you could possibly want or need. Also, go check out my podcast, Ravel. We dropped the episode. It came a little late, but we have an awesome episode with an interior designer, an architect expert, and writer, Margaret Daniel. Go listen to that. I mean, we get real deep into the spiritual implications of design, the spaces around us, and perhaps what does the Bible have to say about that? And I get a professional consultation on the best way to decorate and get the most out of my underground, apocalypse bunker. So if you're wanting to get some tips on how to comfortably survive the end of the world, Margaret Daniel is there. She helps us out. Ravel podcast on all your podcast players. It's a real fun time. Very well-read woman, too. I was very impressed. And you can also go to Canary Cry Clips, Canary Cry Clips on YouTube and Odysee. You can get clips of the show. More clips dropped today. Plenty of awesome information, especially if you want to, share the information with people who don't listen to the show without subjecting them to the, full 4-hour podcast. Go subscribe to Canary Cry Clips. You will not regret it. I guarantee it. Okay, you ready for some politics?
Radio.
Poly. It's Latin for many. Tick. Now suck your blood. Now suck
Politics.
Your blood.
Okay, it's politics time, and as promised, Gonz, we got to get caught up. We got to get caught up on the Supreme Court nomination. And it's been an interesting sort of oscillating experience with this particular Supreme Court nomination because there's a lot going on, man. There's so much going on that it's to jump back and forth. I can't tell what's trying to distract from what. And honestly, the Ketanji Brown Jackson nomination for the Supreme Court, is Biden's nomination, it seems so stale in that it is almost entirely, and I think to a sort of distractionary degree, almost entirely rooted in like culture war, which I think is why not a lot of people are paying attention, because we're all just so tired of the culture war.
Yeah.
But we're just going to do a quick review. Last episode I was going to bring this and I was all fired up. And as always, by the time the next episode comes around, so many things happen in the world that it's hard to stay focused on the passion that I had for this story before, but we're going to do it anyway. So this is coming from abcnews.go.com, and the headline is Racial Tension, Political Opportunism, Color Hearings for Ketanji Brown Jackson. Analysis. Ooh, we get an analysis. I'm just going to read a little bit of this one, and then I'm going to jump over to another one because there are some interesting, tips and angles to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. 2 days of intense questioning have come to a close, and all signs point to Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson completing her historic ascent to the nation's highest court. Jackson's confirmation is on track for early April, with or without Republican support. Despite the reality that the outcome of these hearings was essentially a foregone conclusion, takeaways from the hearings are, like much else in Washington these days, colored by divergent ideas on race in America, contentious partisanship, and political opportunism. On the left, much has been made of the fantastic, historic nature of Jackson's nomination. If continued, she will break barriers.
If confirmed.
I'm going to go ahead and make my screen bigger.
Yeah, you're turning
there
old,
we go.
mister.
Those
googly eyes need a little wiping.
The virtual reality, the metaverse is sucking all the life out of my eyes. If confirmed, she will break barriers as the first black woman on the court. It's a point that every Democrat and a few Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee championed. At the same time, Jackson's identity as a black woman was weaponized by many on the right. On Monday, Senator Lindsey Graham's remarks included thinly veiled nod to lawmakers who claimed Biden's Supreme Court pick would be a beneficiary of affirmative action. Ooh, a nod, a veiled nod, Gonz. You know what that means?
Launch the North Korean rockets. That's what Kim Jong Un did. He gave what you called it, the nod, a real gentle nod, when he took off his sunglasses.
Well, here's the veiled nod, Gonz. This is a quote from Lindsey Graham. "You are the beneficiary of a lot," Graham told Jackson. There you go. There's your veiled nod.
That's it?
That's it.
He's so racist, man.
I know. Jackson faced a barrage of questions focused on critical race theory, which she repeatedly said didn't factor into her work as a judge. Republicans sometimes referred to critical race theory in its proper context, referring to a legal concept of how race is embedded in the practices of our nation's institutions, and other times invoked it to describe what has become shorthand in conservative circles for discussions of race in the classroom. The Republican National Committee even posted a graphic on Twitter. Meow, 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 meow. Boring, boring, boring. So that was pretty much the entirety of the conversation being had around Ketanji Brown Jackson. Let me jump over
to. Did she cry during the? She did.
No, I didn't watch everything.
It looks like while listening to U.S. Senator Cory Booker speak, a single tear runs down the cheek of Supreme Court nominee Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson during a confirmation hearing. So
yes, it's very emotional. But Gonz, Kavanaugh cried too. This is like a thing. Every time we get a new Supreme Justice in there, they cry.
It's probably because it's literally like an initiation. You got to go through so much nonsense. I'm sure it's just a release of emotion.
Yeah. Or it's also just all theater. That's how it was with Kavanaugh as well. Mm-hmm. So, here's the thing. It's incredibly boring, this whole thing. It's almost just like a sideshow for people who cannot live without culture war, because even though Biden, or I would say the Democratic Party in general, has been leaning away from culture war recently because it started actually not working out very well for them. There is a certain contingent of people, of the population, who still get fired up by the culture war, and the culture war is fed, with the lumber of the lumberjacks that are those who try to, sort of decode secret comments and dog whistles and veiled nods, and when you actually check it out, it's not that interesting, but. Going over here to NBC News, this headline: many black women are familiar with the questions Senator Ted Cruz asked Ketanji Brown Jackson. This week, Ketanji Jackson became the first black woman and the first former public defender to stand before the Senate Judiciary Committee as a Supreme Court Justice nominee. It's an occasion for the history books that should be celebrated righteously and full-heartedly. Yet black women like me are bracing for impact. So again, back to this celebration, the historical nature. You read some of these articles and some of the analysis, and it's almost they repeatedly make a case that even though Biden said, "I'm going to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court." And then people on, the other side say, okay, so wait, you're nominating her because she's a black woman, or how does that work out? And then the left says, no, it's not because she's a black woman, but we definitely should affirm this because it'll be history making to have a black woman on the Supreme Court. So it's this interesting balancing act. But to continue, we all know too well the tightrope we walk in predominantly white institutions. One wrong step, our intrinsic value is weaponized against us. Meaning, black women, their intrinsic value is weaponized against them. I don't know what that. I guarantee that they have intrinsic value, but I don't know what is referring to here that is being weaponized. We got a glimpse of that Monday from Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican from Tennessee, who suggested that Jackson may have a hidden agenda, and went on to claim that Jackson made clear that she, quote, believes judges must consider critical race theory when deciding criminal defendants. Blackburn followed that up with this question: is it your personal agenda to incorporate critical race areas into our legal systems? This line of questioning continued Tuesday with Senator Ted Cruz, who, in the first opportunity to question the Supreme Court nominee on the public stage, interrogated her with blown-up illustrations from author Ibram X. Kendi's best-selling book, Anti-Racist Baby, and asked if Jackson believed babies are racist. Then pressed by Cruz on critical race theory, Jackson said, quote, I've never studied critical race theory, and I've never used it. It doesn't come up in the work that I do as a judge. Continue reading. It appears that Blackburn and Cruz pulled this talking point from a speech Jackson made about federal sentencing in criminal cases. In the speech, Jackson said, quote, sentencing is just plain interesting on an intellectual level. In part, it melds together myriad types of law, criminal law, of course, but also administrative law, constitutional law, critical race theory, negotiations, and to some extent, even contracts. It was clear that she never said that it was a must for judges to consider critical race theory, but rather one of the many philosophies that could be reviewed for sentencing. But her words are being skewed. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's actually incredibly boring, this whole thing. Maybe it's because we've been sort of desensitized by the culture war, or maybe just I have. Maybe some people haven't. I have.
People
it's the
must be
same
burnt
back
out.
and forth, circular. Sort of, I don't know, circular reasoning on both sides. It gets broken down into this minutia, and which is the core principle of today's culture wars. It's like you got to break down the intentions and the exact words and the this and the that, and that's what all the sort of cancel culture thing has got us, is people being very specific about the words they say, and then kind of trying to find, almost like a lawyer, a cancellation lawyer, finds little technicalities that get them out of it. But let's see here. There was one. There's so many things wrapped up in this. The Q crowd has kind of been fired up because this was the judge involved, I believe, in remember the shooting up of the pizza restaurant? Was it at Comet Pizza?
Yeah.
Where the guy,
Comet
showed up.
Ping Pong.
Comet Ping Pong,
the guy's
right.
name. He was
And
like a follower.
Yeah, the fellow
face like
went
the
in
Sun
there
Channel.
to free the right. Yeah, the fellow went in there to free the children from the basement with a gun. I believe that she was the judge that actually convicted that guy. So the connections to the Pizzagate stuff are interesting, which did not help her case when Republicans kind of brought up her history of lenient sentencing for pedophiles.
Yeah.
So
Edgar Madison Welch was the shooter.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe she was the judge for him. And there's this whole section about her historic leniency and some speeches she made about minimum sentencing for pedophiles. Yes?
Nope. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just the video thing that I had in the background changed. Go ahead.
Which I think is fully, again, completely theatrical. Not that it's not true, but if you're gonna start another culture war or try to keep the culture war burning, you gotta incite the Q people to get involved, and they have. They're pretty fired up, not as fired up as the mainstream media wants us to believe, but that's all wrapped up in this as well. The thing that is tiresome to me, and I'm going to stop in a second here and we'll play a clip just for fun. The thing that's tiresome to me is it seems almost inevitable. It's almost not. None of this means anything because the Democrats have the majority now. Until the midterms, they have the majority. There is nothing that can be done that would make us believe that she would not get her affirmation onto the Supreme Court. So it really all is just a media circus to stoke the flames, to keep the division, even while Biden is claiming to want to unite the country again. But there were some fun little things, and everybody's seen this clip, but I want to play it again here. This is a clip from the hearings along the lines of the culture war of Ketanji Brown Jackson being asked a question.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
Not a biologist.
Not a biologist. Only a biologist
can define a woman.
Give us define a woman. Yeah. So, look, again, it's just kind of getting into word lawyeriness. You can tell that she, took umbrage at the term define. Can I define a woman? I can't define a woman.
These people
Who could
with the D words?
Define a woman?
The only D word that should exist is Democrat. The rest of the deter. We didn't deter. No, we didn't define. We don't define. We're not biologists.
Right.
We don't define things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Who could define a woman in these days? Only biologists can. So, it was obviously a dodge, and a dodge to an obvious sort of attack question, things like that.
Yeah.
Long story short, she's almost certainly going to be affirmed. There's nothing anybody can do about it. I cannot tell whether this is trying to be a distraction from other stuff or this was timed with all this, other world events in order to draw away from this. And perhaps the conservative strategy is to be as sort of ludicrous. This is the wrong word, but, as sort of inflammatory as possible to try to get it in the news. But it is midterms. So honestly, every single one of these senators who are asking questions are, thinking of the elections.
The implications
it's sort of
of the elections. Yeah, they're staging for all that.
Yeah, it's a sort of a parade. It's a parade of virtue signaling on both sides because nothing's going to make a difference. But when you're up for re-election, you can play the clips of how you were just so hard on the Supreme Court nomination and stuff like that. So there you go. A little bit of theater for everybody.
Yeah. And we went a long time at the beginning of Canary Cry News Talk, and we actually said, we don't do politics here because that was one of the things I felt was I didn't want to just become another politics show. And we
didn't do anything for a long time. We pretty much exclusively talked about robots and Nephilim for 4 years.
That's true. But this is the kind of story that reminds me of that's why I didn't like talking about politics too much, because what happens is you get sucked into the conversation. You're sort of forced to defend one side of an argument if you get pulled into the argument, is what I'm saying. And this is one of those examples where everything was so divisive that you're sort of, if you're a Republican, you got to toe that Republican line. You got to support your Republicans. And if you're a Democrat, you got to make that Democrat argument. Right. Just so tiresome. But I think they timed this at a point when, everyone's looking at international affairs. So they're distracted. And then they see this, the partisan tensions of America. And I think they weren't really supposed to be too into this in general. Because I think people are like, okay, all right, yep, back to the.
That's what I mean.
I think boring divide of we got bigger fish to fry right now. But that's
World War
III
is about to start, and so let's just sort of create some sound clips with our culture war for later that we can pull out during election time.
Yeah. Well, I think we're good with that. Are you?
Yeah. Let's move on. We should have moved on.
Space. Wanna go to space?
Oh yeah, baby!
Wow.
It's a new Jeff Bezos ISO jingle.
Love it.
Business Insider. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin is bidding on NASA's lucrative moon contract again after it lost to SpaceX last year.
What?
He's at it again.
He's at it again, man. He's like a dog with a bone.
It's somebody playing the New World Order game is scoring some points here because there's Bezos on the header here with his cowboy hat on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a good hat. Mm-hmm. Hey, I have a hat just like that.
I know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's specifically made to your.
It's true. Custom. Thank you, little winged one. And I will say, little winged one, I've been wearing my my cowboy hat quite a bit recently.
Mm-hmm. So Blue Origin is getting a second chance to help NASA send astronauts to the moon after losing the contract to SpaceX last year. On Wednesday, the space agency announced it was planning to reopen the competition for its Artemis program to a second company. Shortly after the announcement, Jeff Bezos' space company announced it would place a bid for the multi-billion-dollar contract for a second time.
Of course.
Quote, Blue Origin is ready to compete and remains deeply committed to the success of Artemis. A Blue Origin spokesperson told Insider, quote, we will continue to work with NASA to achieve the United States' goal to return to the moon as soon as possible. CNBC's Michael Sheets was the first to report Blue Origin's announcement. Okay, NASA initially began the program, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. So, yay. more, I don't know.
Well, it's it's funny because it is, I think what we're seeing now, and Bezos being sort of a prime example of this, is we have the military industrial complex, we have the medical industrial complex. I think we are in the developing stages of a space industrial complex. Because we've already had these space billionaires talk about doing manufacturing in space. Bezos wants to build his Amazon manufacturing factories on the moon and in orbital stations, and and then send the goods back to the Earth, which is fun.
We need a lot of rockets
about.
for that go up and down,
Well, and that's the point. Exactly. It's not that Bezos just really wants to go to the moon or whatever. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't mind it, but it's more about, hey, in the future, whatever this new world order looks like, this great reset, ESG, stakeholder capitalism system looks like, the ferrying of goods and people to space and back is, I think they imagine it to be as big as the oil industry or the transportation industry or the it's its own essential industry going to and fro. Probably not even during Bezos's lifetime, but these guys are all obsessed with legacy.
Oh, yeah. If you look at the investments of Bezos, no, he's going to try to live forever. All these guys are. This generation of tech moguls, dare I call them oligarchs, is I think they're investing a lot of money into life extension. And to that point, here's a 30-second clip of Bernie Sanders talking about this this Blue Origin thing. And let's hear what Bernie has to say.
Today in America, we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. We talk a lot about Russian oligarchy, and that is certainly true. But anybody who thinks that we don't have an oligarchy in this country is surely mistaken. In our country today, we have two people who own more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American population, and the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 92%. Today in America...
Started over, sorry. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's typical Bernie there. But also, I think it's interesting that he is pushing this now that the general public out here in America, at least in the West, sees this idea of the oligarch. You can do something to the oligarch, right? Like the Russian oligarchs, they put the sanctions on them, taking away their stuff. Look at them. They're suffering. As Biden puts it, the pain. I feel like it's almost like the governments are trying to take back some of the influence that tech companies have gotten. Like the technocracy has exploded in the last 2 decades. And, there are arguments to suggest that maybe social media platforms or tech companies have more influence in the world than politicians and governments. And especially since, there's a lot of lobbyists for places like Facebook or whatever, dishing out what Washington ought to do. And so I think it's interesting that Bernie would bring this to light and at least, some of the Bernie followers to consider this idea. Well, I guess they've kind of always been against the top 1% concept, but to tie it to the Russian oligarchs, these guys like Bezos and Musk, it's an interesting play. And it's almost like saying, to these billionaire guys, we can take you down too. We can take down, all that you have, Bezos, can disappear. We can sanction you and put you in jail on the moon or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fun Jack Ma thing in
we
China.
can make them disappear. Yeah, see, it's interesting, right? It's like a government. It's the fight for power. There's only one mountain, and you got these technocracy people climbing the mountain, but also politics, or the political infrastructure has always been there controlling things. So it's a good back and forth, I thought, to take a look at. But yeah, I mean, this is also a bid for, like you mentioned, the stakeholder capitalism. If we're going to start building infrastructure on the firmament, which is, firmament real estate is really what's taking place here, then you're going to be you want to be the one to deploy the building, the construction of all that, because that's not just wealth, but and beyond.
It's the future.
It's the future.
It's how of the ruling class. That's for sure.
Especially since Bezos wants and this is part of the ESG conversation, is Bezos wants all of any kind of polluting thing to be done in space, not on Earth. That was his whole thing when he went to space, was like, we're so fragile, we need to preserve Earth the way, it's supposed to be, and then get all the nastiness to be happening in space. And it's like, okay, that'll get the aliens all mad. And
he's got quite the imagination, that fella.
So there you go. There's your little.
Pretty impressive, actually.
There's your Bezos. So evil. Why is his laugh so evil?
I don't know. I'm starting to believe that there's some sort of, some signal hidden in the spookiest laughs of the most famous, powerful people on Earth. They all have pretty terrifying laughs. Yeah. Maybe that's the key. If you have a scary laugh, then the lizard people recognize you as one of their own. That's like their calling card.
Yeah, that's possible. Very much so.
All right. Well, if we're ever going to go to the moon, Gonz, we should probably thank some producers.
We should. And we're going to take a break.
Let's do it.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks, we're just going to take a real quick break. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, we've got more on the climate change.
Climate change. Yes. Better watch out for that climate change.
Climate change.
Armageddon.
Pope. We're talking about the Pope, too, Gonz.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too.
Antarctica, yes. All sorts of good stuff after the break, so don't go anywhere. But before that, we want to take a second and thank our producers officially. And we do that because they are the reason why this show exists. They're the reason we're able to keep doing the show. They're the reason why we do not have to bend the knee to corporate money. They are the reason why we don't have to participate in the, billions-dollar industry of advertising. That is to say, the decades-long mind control industry that's been going on for, oh, goodness, as long as I've been alive. And it almost had me convinced, Gonz. It almost had me convinced there for a while that if anything is of value, then that value would be provided by corporations in exchange for the influence on these pieces of media that I enjoyed so much. But turns out, in the state of the world as it is today, we can now clearly see that the advertising industry is some sort of dark leech that has sunk its teeth into the minds of really the entire world and the global culture that is just one tentacle of a larger beast that is meant to, oppress the minds and spirits of the children of God and to, use them as a sort of battery in order to continue the machine's operations as it comes to, I don't know. I'm trailing off here. You get what I'm saying. And we're on the value for value model. We're on the value for value model, which means we don't have to rely on corporations. We don't have to rely on subtle mind control. We don't have to rely on the constant narrative that we are not okay. And if we only spend a little bit of money and, give our attention to some experts, then we can finally be a whole and complete human. That's not the case, folks. They want us to think so, but it just isn't. Instead, the value for value model works on the principle that if you get value out of something, you always have the opportunity to put value into it. And that cycle is what keeps not just us free from the clutches of corporatism, but also you guys. It's a brave stance. I just had a meeting with producer Isaac, who is helping us out quite a bit with the supply drop. And I say quite a bit in that he is
doing it entirely.
Doing most of it, yeah. And so we were having a meeting, and we just got to chatting about the value for value model. And I just could not stop talking about how proud I was. Not that we've, developed, we've attracted a community who understands, but I'm truly proud on an individual level of each of the producers, because each producer who produces, they are an individual who realized that they don't want to participate in the system that they were born into and did not consent to. And it's a very brave thing to give your value to, what essentially amounts to two strangers on the internet, but to be a part of a new system. And I would say, if you ask the world, they would say an unproven system. But the fact that it's so revolutionary in today's economy makes it a very brave act to do. And that's why we're going to thank the producers now. You can become a producer by going to patreon.com/CCNT, or you can head on over to CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
Over there's all sorts of ways to support the show. If you're a cryptocurrency person, you can find our public wallets there. You can become a monthly supporter if you want to, set it and forget it and become a ongoing piece of the value for value system. Or if commitment is not your thing, you can go ahead and make a one-time producership in any amount. Gonz, who are we thanking today?
We are starting off.
Let me start off, actually.
Okay.
Let's thank our executive producers.
All right.
Executive producers.
You can talk? No?
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. Executive producers. They're the best. They're the ones who make it happen. I didn't. Sorry. I didn't know that was also a bet. I'm feeling weird today, man. I'm feeling a little bit disconnected. So I'm going to keep trying to focus. And part of the reason I feel a little disconnected is because I got a note from someone that we have a correction on the executive producership. Just a quick correction. And so we are now correcting the executive producership from what it was to executive producer Gabby L.
Thank you, Gabby L.
That's right. Thank you very much, producer Gabby L, for your executive producership. Couldn't do it without you. And Gabby L comes in with $133.22 plus fees.
Ooh, that means she's Illuminatus.
Illuminatus. That's correct. Yes, I saw a lot of strange things going on in the chat today. I've not really been able to follow it, but I got an email from a different producer who let us know that correction needed to be made. So there we go. That is the correction. And I'm seeing now.
Hold on.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Finish.
Oh, gosh.
Whoa.
Oh, they're attacking. It's happening, Gonz. I'm seeing now that we have an email from Gabby L. This is extremely long. What do you think, Gonz? This is
I don't know.
Many paragraphs. Let me see if there is. Gabby L, we're gonna have to check in. We'll have to do an IOU because this is we can't quite do this today. But I want to get something from you, and we'll do that. Do you hear something strange, Gonz? Because I sure don't. There it is. Okay. Well, thank you very much, executive producer Gabby L, for stepping up and being such an important part of keeping this show alive.
Where'd you find this?
There we go. And that's it for our executive producers. Actually, I will say we did get an anonymous executive producer that came in.
Okay.
Who we are keeping anonymous. Thank you very much, executive producer Anonymous.
All right. Thank you. Oh, you get this too.
Where'd you find this?
That's right. Okay, now let's check in with the supply drop, baby.
Supply drop.
That's right. Go to CanaryCry.Supply.com where you can sign up for $33.33 a month as a producer. If that's something that you feel this show is worth, did the math. 12 episodes a month for $33.33 is less than $3 a show. And as a thank you, we will send you a free package. It's called the Canary Cry Supply Drop because 4 times a year you'll receive a delivery, a very special delivery, chock-a-block full of one-time custom created items created for producers by producers. I'm really excited. I just sent some stuff off today in regards to that. We got some stuff back yesterday. It's coming together, folks. The first supply drop is going to be on its way soon. And of course, we've got digital assets as well. If you sign up this month, you'll receive you'll be in the group who will receive there is a rooster outside of my window yelling at me. I think he doesn't like the eyeballs, the googly eyes.
It sounds really big. Are we Nephilim roosters?
I think
Nephilim roosters. Nephilim roosters.
I can't tell if this is in the metaverse or out, or if this is just Gonz messing with me.
Oh yeah.
Or if I have a video playing in the background or something.
Right.
Anyways,
the digital, the AR.
Maybe it's another
layer.
hack.
Yeah, maybe it's another hack.
Instead of me getting metaverse kidnapped onto the Titanic, they have infiltrated my personal space with a metaverse rooster. Anyways, Canary Cry supply drops happening. Get some NFTs. We have one supply dropper who signed up, and that was, again, producer Gabby L.
Thank you, Gabby L.
Thank you very much, Gabby L. We can't wait for you to receive all the fun stuff.
Yes.
Okay, that does it for that. CanaryCrySupplyDrop.com.
Waiting for supply drop.
All right, we got some more producers to thank here, and we're going to start it off with Odysee Strength.
Ooh, that's a cool name. Thank you very much. Odysee Strength came in with 5180. Appreciate it very much. Did not see a note.
Thank you very much. And Odysee is spelled like the video platform Odysee. Odysee.
Is this because of our recent customer service ticket we had with Odysee?
I don't know,
are they producing the show as a thank you or as an apology?
I don't know, because I don't know that Odysee was working earlier. It showed on my end that it was not. The stream was unable to connect. So
things have been extremely sketchy, folks.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with
on streaming platforms across at least our sort of stable of streaming platforms. But anywho, we're doing the best we can.
I don't know why it's not working. Okay, well, yes, thank you to Odysee Strength. Appreciate it. Next up, we have Jonathan F.
Jonathan F. is back, and he's coming in with 1111. Right, and he has a note that says, "Love you guys. Hope you enjoyed the blast from the past. OG Canary Cry Radio is pretty entertaining, meaning you guys always had a calling for this ministry. By the way, bringing the love for Baz and that freestyle on Ravel was slick." Thank you very much, Jonathan F. Yes, the freestyle on Ravel. Hey, if anybody out there heard that, look, I've been very open and vulnerable, and I was in the moment of how terrified I was, but I could not pass up the opportunity. So thank you very much, Jonathan F.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sir JC, Knight of the Techno Squatch.
Sir JC, Knight of the Techno Squatch, is on an 83-episode streak.
Ooh.
1001. Amen.
That's right. Came in with the 1001 and a note. Hey, B&G, it's Friday day.
Nope, it is Friday day.
It's Friday day.
Got stuck in the loop.
Yep.
Hope you both are able to rest this weekend and enjoy some nice weather. That is my hope for all Canarians. Sir JC, always bringing the good vibes, always bringing the goodwill to all Canarians. Appreciate it, Sir JC.
Thank you, Sir JC. Next up, we have Sir Holmes, good and faithful knight of the Canarium.
That's right. Sir Holmes, good and faithful knight of the Canarium, is back coming in with 1121. Yeah. I don't know what that number means.
It's 11 plus 10 cents.
Plus 10 cents. Yeah, it's not quite plus fees. I don't know. Maybe I'll look to see if there's a note or something. But thank you very much, Sir Holmes. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sir Holmes. Next up, we have LX Protocol V2.
There he is. LX Protocol V2. The producer bot comes in with pocketful of sevens plus fees. Let's see. A note. Dang, I forgot. I think I messed up my streak. I intend to produce for As God Allows. Wish we could auto pay every episode. I don't know if he did mess up his streak. I thought he was here last episode.
I thought he was here last episode too. You should double check.
I think you're fine, LX Protocol. Plus, we're softies over here. If you make it, yeah, you were here. Yeah, you did not mess up your streak. You have an 11 episode streak. And yes, the per episode producership, we've had many people ask about that. And so far we have not been able to do it. I think the closest thing we can do is like PayPal allows people to sign up for us to be able to charge them whenever we want in like a certain program that we've never explored.
It would be like a kind of like oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not an accountant, and this is why.
Yeah. No. Oh, I mean, it's just basically
invoice.
It's a service.
That's what I was thinking. It's
kind of,
like an
yeah. Sort of, yeah. It's like they sign up, and it just allows us to charge whatever amount they choose anytime we want. And I guess they could sign up for that, and then we would just initialize it right before the episode or something.
Okay.
But yeah, we haven't done it yet. We get a lot of people asking, and maybe we will, because there's enough people interested. That'd be a great thing to do. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Over time, though, what will happen with Podcasting 2.0 is that you'll just stream value using Bitcoin to what you're listening to, and only pay while you're listening, Yeah. One Satoshi per minute or something.
Podcasting 2.0 right now is doing that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We could, in theory, if we
really went
through and set it up, which we probably should.
Buy Russian oil and support Canary Cry News Talk with Bitcoin.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, the personal transactions, the peer-to-peer network that is the definition of Bitcoin would suddenly be branded in the media as, these podcasts are taking the same currency that Russia takes for oil.
Oh, but don't Mexican drug cartels take the U.S. dollar?
Oh, burn, Gonz. It's too much logic. Get your logic out of here. Your logic has no place in this culture war we're fighting. All right. Thank you, LX Protocol V2.
Thank you. Next up, we have more.
More is on a 68 episode streak.
We're going streaking! Come on, everybody, we're going!
That's right, 11-11. Thank you very much, Morv. Happy Friday, brothers. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Again, good vibes. Thank you very much, Morv.
Thank you, Morv. Next up, we have Angela H.
Angela H. comes in with a nice round number, which is a great opportunity. Yes, to remind everybody that we always lean in the direction of anonymity. If you have special details you want us to keep secret, you got to email us, let us know. But also, if your producership comes in a nice round number, that's the signal to us to not read it. If you don't mind us reading it, add something funky in there. 11 cents, 33 cents, make some funky number. Okay. Right. Thank you very much, Angela.
Thank you, Angela H. Next up, we have Sir Scott, Knight of Truth.
Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 124 episodes in a row.
Oh,
yeah.
Pocketful of sevens. Happy Friday, everyone.
All right.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Of Truth.
Knight of Truth.
I'm going to take one last little refresh here to make sure that nobody who wanted to get on the list. Oh, yeah. Okay, we got another one here. This is producer Malik W. made it in.
Hey, Malik
there you go.
W. What's
Answered
up,
the call. Thank you very much, Malik.
Do you have a note?
Going through. No note. Not that I saw. No. We do have another anonymous producer. Thank you very much.
Ooh,
anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Yeah. Okay, that concludes the producerships that have come in the amount of $7.77 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. But we got a few more to thank who came in under that, starting with Sir James, Knight and Servant of the Line of Judah, on a 69-episode streak.
Thank you, Sir James.
Thank you. Next up, we got Sir Casey the Shield Knight on a 134-episode streak.
Wait, hold on. We have a new one for him, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going a little country.
That's true. You know, we should call Sir Casey the Streak. That's why they do call him the Streak, because
That's right.
He has maintained he's a streak since the day we started counting streaks.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight, a.k.a. the Streak.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Jackie Yu on a 41-episode streak.
Thank you, Jackie Yu.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
Then we have Runk Smash on a 13-episode streak.
Runk Smash. Thank you very much.
Yep, and then we're going to head on over to the Streak Sisters. A big day for the Streak Sisters here. Veronica D comes in and has hit 100 episodes in a row.
Woo!
Oh, yeah!
Thank you so much.
And the other Streak Sister, Gail M, coming in on a 100-episode streak.
Women rule!
Thank you so much.
Angry time.
There you go. Wow, that was quite an explosion of fun jingles for the Streak Sisters, but they deserve it. Thank you, Veronica and Gail. And last but not least, we got the good Doctor Who Done Dat.
Doctor Who Done That. Thank you very much.
On a big streak, on a 69-episode streak.
Doctor Who Done Dat and Sir James are both.
Yes, they've been the Streak Brothers.
Streak Brothers,
and
yeah.
I've only mentioned it a couple times, and it just has not stuck in my brain. I'm going to put them together right now. Hopefully, that'll remind me for next time. Okay, that concludes our list of financial producers for this show. Thank you guys so much. You're the only reason we're able to keep doing what we do, as much as we do it and as well as we do it, for whatever that's worth. And you guys are the best. And not only are we thankful, but every listener around the world who is able to hear my voice right now. Just keep in mind, these are the producers who brought you this show today. Give a little prayer for them. Thank them. Thank God for them. Okay. Thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
That's right.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message!
Go to CanaryCryNewsTalk.com. You'll see a little green tab on the side or on the bottom. Click on that. Leave us a voice message. It's easy. It's quick. And just know that if you leave a message, you are giving us permission to play it on the show. Does not guarantee that it will be played. But there you go. We got some messages coming in today, Gonz.
We do. We have a modern day Bible study.
Ooh.
Hi, Canary
oh my
Cry
gosh.
listeners. I needed a positive message today, and once I received that message, I thought to share this with you. Having listened to some instrumentals to calm my unbalanced mind, someone commented saying they wanted the person reading it to be happy, healthy, and loved. The reminder is what I needed to see how, even through the chaos, God is here for us, to give us what we need, not want. We must remember that His needs are to strengthen us, which keeps us as healthy and happy as He needs. Good, bad, who knows? A good situation can turn into something bad, and a bad situation can turn into something good. For example, waking up in a horrible mood for unknown reasons helps me realize I may not be the only one who needs to hear this. I pray you all have a beautiful day, and may you stay aware of God's blessings for you. And remember, you are loved. And do your best to be healthy and happy in this temporary life. Bringing extra energy to your weekend with Basil and Gonz. And remember, think outside the cage.
Oh my gosh, what a pleasure that was.
That's so nice.
Yeah, that was nice. Had some water trickling in the background, the word of God, some encouragement for the day. Thank you very much. Was there a name attached to this, or is it just modern Bible study? Modern day Bible study. And now that I'm thinking about it, I really should very well read and very well timed too.
Yes.
A full, complete, wonderful message in the exact time that the recorder allows.
Yeah.
That person has good timing.
Yes, professional level reporting there.
Yeah.
I am now realizing I should have done it the other way around.
Because now we get into some craziness, huh?
Little crazy. Here's
Okay,
Paulie.
well, let me just say one real quick.
Okay.
It's just on that note, I do appreciate and encourage things like this and a perfect sign off. So there you go. Another idea of a wonderful voicemail for people to leave. Something encouraging, something nice, and a Canary Cry sign off.
Yeah, the sign off was fantastic. That is yep. She nailed it. Okay. Next message here. We got one from Paulie the Gambino.
Hey, Paulie. I told you I'd be watching you. And you know what I heard? I heard Randy Macho Man Savage and Sam Elliott get in a little bickering match, right? Yeah, little bickering. Listen, Sam Elliott wasn't saying, hey, let's replace the new jingle with the old jingle. Nah. He was saying, it's okay. Combine them like you're doing now. It sounds great. I like the old jingle. I like the new jingle. Hey, in life things change, right? It just changes. That's what happens, right, Tony? Yeah, I like the new jingle. I like the old jingle. I like the combination. Yeah, I know, Tony. Anyway, things change in life. Hey, every day we're getting new jingles coming in from Canary Cry listeners. You know what I'm saying? Bada boom, bada bang. Let's get together here. Let's all get along, all right? Hey, don't look me up, all right? Don't look me up. I got connections. Don't want to find a horse in your bed, right?
Whoa.
Is Paulie the Gambino, ardent supporter of the show, the most delightful sort of criminal that I've ever heard? Thank you very much, Paulie.
Oh, most criminals are delightful.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
I wouldn't know, Gonz. This is maybe you can tell us about all these lovely criminals that you have in your life.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the message, Paulie.
Thank you, Paulie. And that does it for...
That's all. That's
it, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, there you go. Make sure to leave us a message, folks. You can do that at CanaryCryNewsTalk.com. Look for the little green tab. Click on it. Click the button. It's so easy. It's so fun. And, maybe you can think of something nice and uplifting as well. I mean, I love Paulie. I love Sam Elliott. I love this Wednesday Jingle Civil War. But there's so many options. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else we got? Time to move on, probably, yeah?
Waking up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And I guess we're saying bye to YouTube. Are we doing
YouTube.
that now?
Yeah, yes, we are. YouTube, go to CanaryCry.Party.
Sorry.
This is the second time, Gonz. This is like the fourth time.
Well, I got jingles for things that you're going to already say.
I'm just saying, we love you, YouTube. Go find the rest of the show. We're not ending the show. It's just Susan won't let us do the show. I mean, we could actually do this show on YouTube.
The whole show. You're right.
Yeah. Keep YouTube going.
Okay. Well, all right.
And this is why, folks, because for the first time in possibly 2 years, we could not find any COVID news worth reporting on, or that we hadn't already reported, or that we hadn't already talked about, or anything. Almost literally absolutely nothing new about COVID. And so we took the opportunity to not do a COVID segment, which means we can stay on YouTube.
Hallelujah.
Who knows?
It feels so refreshing.
It's so refreshing.
This is a new world podcast.
New
podcast.
Yeah. I don't get used to it,
no,
folks.
I'm sure
just saying. Yeah,
sure
it's just
the lull,
first,
the longer the coils.
2 day.
Yeah.
The first 2 day period that did not include a piece of COVID news that we absolutely had to report on.
Okay. Well, okay.
So let's speaking of which, let's check in on some climate change.
What?
It's the new COVID. It's the next COVID. Yeah.
Climate change. All right. So this is
well, let me bring this one. You're the Pope guy.
Okay.
You do the Pope
guy.
One.
All right.
You're the Pope guy.
Yeah, way to show me out there, buddy.
I'm just saying, we didn't plan this earlier.
Expose me. It's from our secret meeting.
Yes. Gonz is Gonz is the Pope. He's the actual Pope.
I'm the Pope.
He's very tricky. What a perfect place for the Pope to hide in plain sight as a fringe independent podcaster who talks about the Pope. All right, but not the Pope now. Pope, settle down. This is coming from independent.co.uk. The headline:
Russian propaganda.
Yeah. Oh, right. So remember, independent.co.uk, owned by Russian oligarch and Saudi sultan or whatever.
Right.
Has something to say. And the headline goes like this: Microplastics found in human blood for first time in extremely concerning study. That is very extremely concerning, but surprising that it's the first time. But okay.
See, I thought we had already reported on something like this, but it was actually microplastics in the conversation with Antarctica or ice sheets and stuff like that.
We talk about. Right. So to connect it to what we have talked about in the past with microplastics are a big problem in a lot of the world. Of course, Antarctica, there's tons of microplastic. The ocean, fish eat it. There was microplastics found in food. But let's talk about the next place microplastics have been found. The world's largest make this even bigger.
Oh no, what happened to something? I used to have this not in front of a paywall, but it looks like I got a paywall here.
Oh, weird.
On my end. Go ahead.
I'm fine. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
they just got your
my IP or something.
Your IP locked down.
Yep.
The world's first study to look for the presence of plastics in human blood detected particles in 77% of those tested. New research
It's a sign they're going after God's people. That's what this is all about.
Something. PET plastic, most commonly used to produce drink bottles, food packaging, and clothes, was the most prevalent form of plastic in the human bloodstream. The authors said plastic particles can enter the body from the air as well as through food and drink. Dick Vatrak, professor of ecotoxicology and water quality at the health at the Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam in the Netherlands, told The Independent. The findings were, quote, certainly alarming because it shows that people apparently digest or inhale so much plastic that it can be
ingest or inhale,
ingest or inhale.
Digest too, but yeah.
So much plastic that it can be found in the bloodstream. Such particles can cause chronic inflammation. The research team tested the blood of 22 people for 5 types of plastic. These were polymethyl, methyl cryolate, polypropylene. I'm just going to do the acronyms: PMMA, PP, PS, PE, and PET. Some 17 of the blood donors carried a quantifiable mass of plastic
17
particles.
of the 22, yeah.
17 of 77%. I'm trying to see if they claimed that this was like a big study.
They
or
did.
Not. Did they?
At least at the top, didn't they?
I thought they said it was like the biggest study, but I'm looking now and I'm not seeing
breakthrough research. That's what they called it at the top in the subheading.
Breakthrough research, world's first study. Okay. So 22 people, pretty small study. I don't even know if it's technically a study, but okay. After PET, polyester, which is used to make a wide variety of household products, was the most commonly found plastic in the blood samples tested. The third most widely found plastic in the blood was polyethylene, a material regularly used in the production of plastic carrier bags. Up to 3 different types of plastic in a single blood sample were measured, the scientists said. PET was found in the bloodstream of 50% of those who were tested, while polyester were found present in 36%. Professor Vitak said, quote, "This research found that almost 8 in 10 of people tested had plastic particles in their blood." Why didn't you just say 17
out of 22 isn't good enough. Almost 8 in 10.
We got to
sounds more dramatic.
Reduce that fraction.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell us what's a safe or unsafe level of plastic particle presence. Oh, see, Gonz, there's a safe amount of plastic you can have floating around in your blood. Quote, "How much is too much? We urgently need to fund further research so we can
you know
find
what that
out."
means? You know what that means? Blood
What?
surveillance, baby. Watching your blood,
yeah,
making sure
baby.
your blood is free of all the microplastics.
As our exposure to plastic particles increases, we have a right to know what it's doing to our bodies.
We need the data. Give us the data, the Deter.
Yeah. Well, and again, you have, we urgently need to fund research, right? So we got a call for funding. This was more of like a proof of concept study to get funding to do a bigger study, but also connecting it. We have a right to know what is going on with our body, sort of connecting the funding of their research with, human rights, with the, existential rights that every person has, which I'm not saying it's not, but I am saying it is a very effective way to get your lab funded. Professor Vitak said he had cut down his own exposure to plastics as a result of his research projects. He told The Independent, "Yes, my family tries to avoid the use of single-use plastics as much as possible, especially food contact plastics and food and drinks packaged in plastics." He added, quote, "Good ventilation of the house is important because microplastic concentrations appear to be higher indoors than outdoors." Okay, yeah, probably didn't need a study to say that, but okay. "I also cover my food and drinks to reduce the deposition of plastic particles."
What do you cover it with, doctor?
Yeah, not plastic. There are, have you ever seen those like beeswax cloths?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have some of those.
Mm-hmm.
They're the worst things in the world. Mm-hmm. They don't work at all. But it's okay because at least I'm not eating plastics. Hopefully beeswax is not a problem, though. The study was, let's see here. There are several things you can do to reduce your exposure to plastic particles. The study was commissioned by Common Seas, a pressure group calling for an end to the enormous amount of waste plastic going into the world's oceans. The organization's chief executive, Joy Royal, said, quote, "This finding is extremely concerning. We are already eating, drinking, and breathing in plastic. It's in the deepest sea trench and on top of Mount Everest, and yet plastic production is set to double by 2040. Quote, "We have a right to know what all this plastic is doing to our bodies, which is why we're asking business, government, and philanthropists around the world to fund urgent further research into clarifying our understanding of the health impacts of plastic via National Plastic Health Impact Research Fund. The research is published in the Journal of Environmental International." There you go, Gonz. We got plastic in our blood.
It's going to be
we don't know. It might be fine.
Plastic-demic plastic. I don't know.
There's something there. Plastemic.
Plastemic.
I think that's not quite as catchy as we need it to be. But,
it's not as great, but yeah, something to that effect.
Yeah, it's I suppose it's not surprising. The most surprising thing about this article was that this is the first time that it was found in the bloodstream. Now, I'm no blood scientist.
There's a lot of stuff in your bloodstream, though, isn't there?
What little I know, I mean, when you're talking microplastics, this has to be micro. Yeah. Like you're talking like individual floating particles, not like lumps of plastic. Yeah. Because I mean, the way I understand it, you eat something, goes into your little tum-tum, then it goes down into some tubing. You got some big coily tubing down there, and then it absorbs through the walls of the tubing after it's been broken down into its sort of individual constituent, nutrients and things. And then those things, on a sort of a molecular basis, get put into the bloodstream. So somehow plastic is making its way through our intestines, like through the walls of our intestines. I don't even know. How does it get, when it's out of the intestines, how does it get into the blood? I don't know, man. I need to talk to a blood scientist. But it doesn't, my understanding of the plumbing, I don't know how plastic would even get through unless it came in a different way. Some sort of intravenous thing, some sort of solution being stabbed into your bloodstream. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I'm just saying it would be nice to know if these 22 individuals, or at least the 17 of them, had recently had some sort of medical intervention.
Mm-hmm. State-sponsored medical intervention.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. What are those other people doing that they didn't have the plastics?
They should interview the 5 people that didn't have any microplastics and really drill down on what they're doing instead of complaining about what they found with the 17 that did.
Right. I'm finding it hard to believe that 23% of people are not having contact with plastics.
Yeah, it's everywhere. I don't know.
It's an interesting idea. Mm-hmm. Look, we shouldn't be on YouTube. This is going to get us in trouble on YouTube. But the 77% number, I'm just going to say, corresponds pretty closely to a certain other percentage number that has gotten a lot of, attention over the past couple of years. That 77% of people are safe from certain things that other people aren't. This is at least an approximation of that group of people,
Mm-hmm. The remaining 33%.
No,
you're talking about?
No, that's a funny little trick, though. 77% does not leave 33%. It leaves 23%.
Oh, that's right.
I know it gets me every time too. No, I'm talking about Biden was just bragging that something around 70% of people were fully vaccinated in the U.S. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Let's move on.
Space Pope Reptilian.
So we covered.
We should have kicked YouTube out of here.
I know. Do you still? We can do it at any point. It is just but a button.
Nah, let's keep going.
Be careful, YouTube. We can not deter you, but
we censor
desist.
you.
Yeah, we can desist from you. YouTube's not censoring us. We are censoring them. Okay, so this is Slate.com, and the headline here: Pope Francis's response to Ukraine has tapped into one of Catholicism's deepest conspiracy theories. And I thought, whoa, what are they talking about? And, this is something we covered in the last episode about Pope Francis consecrating Russia and doing a whole prayer, the connection to Fatima and the UFO stuff there. And so Slate decided to do a long piece on it. I don't want to read the whole thing, but I'll read a little bit here. It says, to the average person, the responses about the Vatican announcing Pope Francis, doing the prayer for Russia and Ukraine, seemed nearly impossible to decipher. Quote, "Holy Father, I am a little bit worried," one person wrote on Twitter. Quote, "This won't be a legitimate consecration either," another scoffed. Quote, "Only idiots think this Freemason will do the consecration," said another.
Wow.
It's like, quote, "It's about time, but what took so long?" one asked. I like how they just collect random Twitter quotes, and that's like the lead hook, bringing people into the story. Others pointed to blog posts and videos that warned the Pope's plan amounted to a globalist trap, or that, quote, "an anti-Pope's consecration of Russia would lead to dire consequences." What in the world was happening here? Wouldn't you like to know? The Pope's announcement had tapped into one of the strangest and most heated debates in Catholicism, one that involves speculation about body doubles and forgeries, prophecies and visions of hell, secret messages, 2 global wars, the attempted assassination of a pope, and above all, the Virgin Mary. So, see, this is what's interesting. I didn't realize that, like, even within Catholicism, there's a divide and conquer kind of thing going on. And so when they say conspiracy theorist in this title, they're not talking about people like us. There's a very specific group of people they're talking about. Oh. So it goes into the whole Mary apparition, the Fatima thing that we talked about. Mm-hmm. And,
for those who might just be tuning in,
sure.
it was just give a quick rundown.
Okay, so in 1917, there was
a long time ago.
Or a long time ago, over 100 years ago, there was some girls in Portugal, young ladies, who received visions from Mother Mary, and then the rumor got out. People started, forming crowds when allegedly, certain apparitions were supposed to appear according to the girls, and then in one of the gatherings was what we would interpret today as more of a UFO sighting, a spinning disc in the air, heat coming off of it, things like that. So, but at the time, because it was before the flying saucer phenomenon had hit mainstream culture, they talked about a spinning sun and things of that nature. So that's what happened. And then Lucia, which means light, one of the women, the 3 children, or I guess girls, one of the 3 girls wrote down the prophecies. And this is where all the disagreements start coming out about what actually happened afterwards and what the Vatican, the response to it and everything else. So that's where...
There was talk that it was a mass hallucination. There was talk, was it a real miracle? Was it this? Was it that? Right.
According to Lucia, Mary visited her again in 1929, repeating the request about the consecration of Russia. Quote, "The moment has come in which God asks the Holy Father in union with all the bishops of the world to make the consecration of Russia to my immaculate heart, promising to save it by this means," end quote. That's allegedly, that's Mary there, the spirit. Allegedly. Mm-hmm. Without getting too deep into the theological meaning of a consecration, here's akin to a dedication, setting aside a person or thing, or even a concept for a holy purpose. Sister Lucia's prophecies were taken seriously by the Church, while the Vatican has maintained that the terrible war in the second secret referred to World War II. It also saw in the Revelation, quote, "the prediction of the immense damage that Russia would do to humanity by abandoning the Christian faith and embracing communist totalitarianism," end quote. Over the decades, a number of popes have tried to stave off or resolve international conflict by invoking Mary's protection. In 1942, Pope Pius VII consecrated the world to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and then just in 1952, and then 1964, 81, 82, 84, so they've done it multiple times. The last consecration in 1984 conducted in St. Peter's Square in Rome on behalf of the entire human race. Naming Russia specifically would have been politically dangerous, and, quote, "in spiritual union with all the bishops of the world is considered the one that officially fulfilled Mary's request for her vision at Fatima." In 2000, during the momentous revelation of the 3rd secret, so apparently there was a 3rd secret in the year 2000, Rome revealed that Sister Lucia, in a handwritten letter in 1989, had assured the Pope that the consecration had been accepted in heaven. That, according to the Vatican, was the resolution of the 2nd secret from 1929. The Cold War ended, communism fell, and Mikhail Gorbachev publicly embraced the Orthodox Church. So, according to the Vatican, this whole the Fatima thing was fulfilled. It's done. It was done with the whole Cold War ending in the 80s or early 90s. But that was not the end of the story. Many traditionalists who believe the Catholic Church has betrayed its identity by softening and liberalizing to adjust to the modern world became enamored with the revelations and questioned the official Vatican line. How could it be, they reasoned, that the 1984 consecration had satisfied Mary's request when the Pope didn't specifically mention Russia? And the previous consecration that had mentioned the country had surely failed because they had neglected to secure the cooperation of, quote, all the bishops of the world. So again, it's like these technicalities of these inter-Catholic debate that's taking place.
Well, that is pretty characteristic of the Catholic Church, like throughout history.
Yeah, so their own divide and conquer methodology from within.
Yeah, it's a very interesting sort of bureaucracy that goes on to sort of decide what is and isn't
part of the doctrine or part of canon.
Yeah, it's not even doctrine, not even canon, just like the description of reality.
Sure.
I mean, you talk about miracles and things like that, they go through years and sometimes decades of bureaucracy to decide if something was or was not a miracle.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not even, I don't even care much about their sort of government structure of the Catholic Church. Yeah. But, they have a same bureaucracy for just explaining an event that happened once.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
It gets into a couple more things here. So, quote, there's a subset of Catholics who are really into Fatima, said Mike Lewis, a managing editor of the pro-Francis blog, Where Peter Is. Quote, it's sanctioned by the church, but the message is very apocalyptic, so traditionalists love it. Children seeing a vision of hell, it comes off as fire and brimstone. It's been fodder for conspiracy theorists ever since the 60s. According to Lewis, only a tiny percentage, maybe 3 to 5% of the 50 million Catholics in the U.S. even know about the Fatima debates. Quote,
yeah, that's true.
But it's a key 3%, he said. Quote, they follow Catholic news. They want to know what's going on in the Vatican, are diehards for apparitions. I like that. Diehards for apparitions. These Catholics. And they're seminarians, young priests. This stuff is preached from the pulpit. And then it gets into 2017 stuff. There's a whole timeline. And then let me skip down to some other parts here. So why would Francis do this? Let's get to the meat of it. There's been some speculation that the announcement has to do with his own efforts to quiet the radical traditionalists in the church. Quote, it is a rare case where he's being applauded by the traditionalist right, and so that's a good thing in one sense, said David Gibson, the director of the Center on Religion and Culture at Fordham University. Quote, in some ways, this can be read as the Pope throwing a bone to conservatives. But that strategy is doomed to fail. Conspiracy theorists will always find something to feed the conspiracy. And sure enough, opponents of Francis have already started finding issues with the Pope's approach. They claim that naming Ukraine negates the process, or that all bishops won't actually participate, or any number of other things. So it seems unlikely that Francis is doing this entirely for internal political reasons. There's another theory that Francis really believes in this rite and in the secrets of Fatima. Let me skip down. Despite the fact that the Vatican, in its consecration announcement, explicitly mentions Fatima, Gibson says Francis hasn't bought into the conspiracy theorists' arguments. Quote, he does not see these consecrations as magic, where you need to recite these words perfectly every time, he said. Instead, Gibson said, Francis likely sees the consecration as something to adapt to different geopolitical situations to call on Mary's support. Quote, this is something where you can do these kinds of prayers again and again. Gibson had one more theory about the Francis consecration, one that assumes the Vatican is more aware of the theories than it lets on. Quote, in a way, the Pope's taking back Fatima. And this idea of consecration from the conspiracy theorists, he said, who have, quote, owned it for more than a century. And this is an effort to say, no, this is not some crazy apocalyptic thing. This is standard Catholic practice. End quote.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. May I comment?
Yeah, go for it.
So there's something very interesting here. They're sort of what they're calling conspiracy theorists is really not even a great term for what they're talking about. What they're really talking about are fundamentalists.
Yes.
They're talking about Catholic fundamentalists who, believe the sort of literal interpretation of not just the Bible or whatever, but the event, the Fatima event. And they believe that the prophecy foretold there was, literally for a moment, for a thing, an act of God in the world, and, meant something very specific. What the Pope is doing, which is actually very common in the Catholic Church, is using the event of Fatima as a repeatable tool, this consecration. So, it reminds me of the conversation a little bit that goes back and forth, more particularly in the Protestant traditions where, who was it? Was it Paul that prayed over rags? And then the rags got sent out to people who were sick all over the place. And they got healed when the rag was put on them. Are you aware of this Bible?
I don't. Was it Paul?
I'm trying to remember. Can you Google it? I believe it was Paul.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here.
And
is it the rag or the cloth?
Yeah, rag or the cloth.
All right,
and it was So I believe it was Paul. I will be corrected in a moment if it wasn't.
Somebody in the chat might be more familiar. Yeah,
yes,
it's Paul.
I'm being told it was Paul. Yeah. So there's people. He's sort of working in an apostolic position there. Yeah. He's praying over pieces of cloth, and then people are taking those pieces of cloth out to the people, across the land who are sick, and the cloth gets laid on them, and it heals them. Okay, so this is in the Bible. It's in Acts. Now, there's big debate in Protestants whether this is descriptive or prescriptive. Was this describing something that happened, or is it prescribing something that we can all do anytime we want?
Yeah, let's get some holy rags.
Yeah, and that's pretty much just what the Pope is doing here. He's taking Fatima and saying, no, it's not just a description of something that happened, but it's a prescription. It's God telling us that, oh yeah, we can just consecrate Russia whenever we want. It's just like a tool we have now.
It's a methodology.
Yeah. So, and it can get even more, it can be put in even more sort of sinister words, as if, perhaps it is a spell that can be wielded at any moment whenever the Pope needs it to be so, or just back to that sort of standard thing. But, and that's not to pick on the Catholics and the popes in particular, because the charismatic versus non-charismatic debate goes that same way. If you don't believe that was prescriptive, and you got charismatics who are praying over cloth today and sending it out, you might think the same thing, that they're operating in some sort of witchcraft or something. Certainly not a debate we're going to have right now, but that's just the state of the world we're in. So this is actually a very relatable situation, if you ask me.
Yeah. I just the interesting part, and I guess the mainstream media takeaway, is that they use the phrase conspiracy theorist,
right, which is the wrong word. They're fundamentalists. But isn't that so funny? Because that's exactly what the Protestants get to here in America.
Yep.
If you're a fundamentalist Christian, that means, you're pretty much synonymous with a crazy conspiracy theorist.
Yep. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen some breaking news stuff, which is interesting, but not like super important. So
you want to just mention it as something to mention before we go into the break here?
We can mention it. Apparently, Toronto is rolling out human trials for male birth control pills. 99% efficacy.
Oh, that's very effective.
That I mean, can we get more eugenics than that?
If the ladies are taking pills, the men can take pills too. I don't have a problem with that.
All right.
I mean, I'm not telling anybody to go take pills, but hey, the ladies have been taking those pills for decades.
Yep. You know who's not taking pills? Catholics.
How about we just get rid of the pills? Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Stop messing with people's hormones. Oh my gosh. Have you gone down the rabbit hole of how the birth control pill has basically shaped our entire society through constant hormone control imbalance of females? Because the birth control pill tricks their body into thinking that they're already pregnant,
right?
Which works as good birth control, but also puts their brain chemicals in the nesting phase, and the romantic phases of it. So you've got a whole you've got multiple generations of women who some of these women have been on birth control since they were very young, who basically their whole life is a lie that has been sort of controlled chemically through these pills. They marry people that they never would have married.
We need the men to suffer now. More suffering from men.
Right. So the answer is not more pills. It's less pills. Who knows what'll happen if these, if large swaths of men start messing with their hormones at an early age.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a break.
It's break time.
I can tell you wanted to say more. You want to say one more thing?
No,
pontificate
I don't.
On the point.
Just trying to squeeze some more content in before the break.
Sure.
All right. What are we doing?
All right. Well, this is our second break where we thank our producers who come in with their talent. Canary Cry News Talk is a place for therapeutic reflection of our troubling world. We process world events together, and we encourage our audience, producers, people out there, especially with talent, to reflect on some of these issues with art, music, jingles, whatever it may be, and it'll help us get through it together. And to start things off for this episode 463, we don't have any audio producers, I believe, or at least at the time of putting everything together. There was no audio producers.
I didn't see anything.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we're going to go straight to the artists. Come on.
One art, please.
You had to pull the jingle lever. The jingle lever got
heavy.
Stuck. A little WD-40 on the jingle lever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to kick it off with Dame Allie.
One RC, another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And Dame Allie comes in with the BlackRock CEO. And there was an article that was linked titled, I had this all open before, and of course it got all removed. What happened to it? Oh, no. Oh, here we go. Okay, yes. The article was titled, BlackRock CEO says Russian invasion of Ukraine has put an end to globalization. Some highlights from the article. Yeah, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink declared Thursday that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has put an end to the globalization seen in recent decades, while predicting the, quote, magnitude of Russia's actions will play out for decades to come. Fink wrote in a letter to shareholders that while the pandemic created rifts between nations and companies, Russia's assault on Ukraine that started last month has exacerbated the polarization and extreme behavior we are seeing across society today. Oh, Putin, he's such an evil, evil man. The war in Ukraine could result in companies re-examining which countries they engage in for business. BlackRock, a global investment management company. By the way, they control $10 trillion in assets, by the way, folks. It's a lot of money. $10 trillion.
That's like Vatican levels of money.
It's 5x the entire cryptocurrency market.
That is crazy.
BlackRock, a global investment management company, joined scores of international companies in severing business ties with Russia after its severing business ties with Russia after its February 24th invasion of Ukraine, when the firm suspended the purchase of Russian securities. The prompt cutoff of Russia demonstrates the power. This is a quote. Sorry, quote, demonstrates the power of the capital markets, end quote. But access to them was, quote, a privilege, not a right. He added. Ooh, this economic war shows what we can achieve when companies supported by their stakeholders come together in the face of violence and aggression, he wrote in the letter.
He's just full on Great Reset language.
But it's crazy because he's like, oh, globalization has stopped. Why? Because you unplugged some pipelines? You're replugging it somewhere else, aren't you, Mr. Larry Fink?
Yeah, he's hooking it up to his Bitcoin miners.
Yeah, so there's a... this is Ali's...
is that all? Okay,
that's
sorry,
it? Yeah,
I didn't
I'm
have
done.
the note in front of me.
The silence was the cue that you should describe this.
Okay, I'm
drawing
doing
of
it
Larry
now.
Fink.
I'm waiting. Here we go. It's a turtle man. There are a select number of these world elites who are straight up turtles who accidentally fell into a vat of radioactive goo and took the forms of human beings. And that is what we are looking at here. Ali, very well done. We've got a headshot here of Larry Fink with his lizard eyes and his turtle face. And it's adorable in a way if it weren't so terrifying.
What was the movie by Dana Carvey, Turtle?
Yeah, Master of Disguise.
Go watch that.
Turtle. No, don't tell anybody to watch that.
Here's why.
Movie.
No, it is chock full of occult, Illuminati, Freemason signaling.
Yeah.
Chock full. And they're very, very blatant about it.
That?
Yes, it's about that. It's crazy.
Yeah, okay. It's not like secretly putting it
it's
in
not
there.
secret at all.
It's
about
a man infiltrating a secret society or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
elite
There you
secret
go.
society. Okay. Anyway. All right. Thank you very much, Ali. Great job.
Beautifully done, Ali. I'm just amazed by your work once again.
Yep. Thank you, Sir Dove. Knight of Respeltia is next.
One art piece from Dove.
And it's 2 art pieces. Well, it's one art piece plus a picture. Here's a note
Very
here.
relevant too.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about in a second.
In his note, Peace had the idea for today's artwork last Friday when you guys detailed a future mecha battle between Musk and Putin, with old Bezos swooping in at the last moment to save the day and the Earth from Russian rule. So I turned it into a comic book cover that could be a future supply drop item if you wanted. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for Yins. Dove. And then the PS, back in 2015, I got to spray paint a car for the Bay Area Makers Fair that a 16-foot tall Megabot destroyed by shooting giant paintballs at a high velocity from its cannon arm. It was pretty wild. Hold on, let me show the picture while I'm reading this. It was pretty wild. They've since filed for bankruptcy and sold the giant robot on eBay for $29,000.
We were on an episode.
Yes, we were looking at of
News Talk back in the day. We were seriously contemplating bidding on that robot on the air.
I remember.
This was years ago. So this is very relevant. And to hear and see the picture that Sir Dove did artwork on a car that was crushed by the robot that we wanted to buy.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about we should do a GoFundMe. It'd be so much fun to have this thing.
We very seriously almost tried to buy this robot. And yeah, I mean, if we did, first of all, life would be much different in a lot of ways. But I mean, talk about full circle. It's like Dove's art has been on the show
before it was
even a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a chance that we showed his artwork on this car, in 2016 or 17.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. It's a crazy, circular thing.
Yeah, it's a circle.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. Sold for $29,000 after putting over $2.5 million into building it. Yeah, there you go. That's
they were trying to start a league, battle robot league, and this was sort of the seed that got me so obsessed with becoming a mech pilot.
I remember we even talked about like how we can up the marketing game to like make it work.
Oh, we were going to make it a business.
Yeah,
it was going to be. It was going to be like part of the brand is that we owned this robot. And
29K is less than 1 Bitcoin.
I know.
One of these
Isn't
things.
that we could scrape together. I mean,
I don't
not
think
saying
it's going for 29K right now.
No,
inflation, bro. Inflation.
I'm just saying, if we were where we are now back then,
yeah, it would have happened.
I'm not saying like we have it in the bank right now. We can walk up with our checkbook, but we could have scraped together 29K somehow to buy this robot.
Although we would probably have to take into account maintenance costs and everything else.
Oh no, it would be a complete
expensive
rust bucket covered in bird poop, and it would be rotting out in a desert somewhere if we had bought it, or just under a tarp waiting for your son to get old enough to accidentally find it and create some sort of mythological, go on some sort of journey to learn about his father buying this robot. Okay, moving on. You got the picture up there?
Yep.
Okay, which one?
The Mecha Jocks.
Yes, Mecha Jocks. A lovely throwback, Sir Dove, to Robot Jocks. Thank you very much. Is not lost on me. And yes, this is a depiction of our outstanding rant the other episode of what the movie would look like if Elon and Putin were battling one-on-one in their giant robots, and Elon, it's that moment in the movie where the hero is struck down and the enemy has his boot on his neck, and then just then the sort of delightful former rival of the hero but turned friend swoops in, and you've got the big Russian robot standing on the Elon Tesla bot amongst the wreckage of, I'm assuming, Ukraine, and then up in the corner you see swooping down blue the
blue mecha.
The uniquely shaped Jeff Bezos rocket with a big Amazon smiley face, with a blue flame coming out of his bottom, and he's got some funny little legs, funny little arms, and it says Blue Mecha on there, and he's swooping in to save the day. Mecha Jocks World War III. Canary Cry.
No, Commie Cry.
Commie Cry. Sorry,
number one.
Commie Cry number one. It's like a comic book cover.
Couple gems on the Commie robot. On his right ankle, he's got the Arm and Hammer and Sickle Robotic logo. Mm-hmm. Where it's a robot arm holding the hammer and the sickle. I think it was a logo used in the past. And then the barcode of because it's a cover. It costs $3.33, and you know how there's numbers under the barcode?
Yes.
1-877-740-3226. It is our text.
It's our text message.
Text message number, yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Well placed.
Wow, very good. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Truly, I mean, again, amazing that you did the car for the robot that we almost bought, and then you create this Mecha Jocks, which, again, of course, Robo Jocks being my favorite movie, and you're just swooping around. We're stuck in some sort of like multiverse orbital pattern with Dove, I think.
Yeah, sounds like it's working out for everybody.
Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. That does it for art. Now, I'm trying to double check. I think this is this is an old microfiction. So I don't think we have microfiction either.
Yes, we do. That came in. That's exactly what came in.
Okay.
On the message.
All right. Well, then we got microfiction.
You are correct. There was an older microfiction that had something to do with a fondue pot, but this is the one he sent. So this is the one we're reading.
Okay.
All right.
Microfiction.
Time.
Microfiction.
And this is from Rung Smash.
In a fondue pot off the California coast, a strange crew drifts Abigail, sets up a quantum onion stream, to broadcast the old files. Reyna keeps watch on the back of Canary Hydra. Basil and Gonz discuss going soft. And Monty bats the water with a paw. Whoa, this is sort of the merging. That's what it is. The merging of several separate storylines that have been going on in the microfictions. They've come together. Are you hearing weird noises from my end?
I couldn't tell. It sounded like there was a tapping or something, but I don't know.
So I have an external backup battery that my computer is plugged into, and it is making very strange noises and sending electrical shocks through my whole system. So if I explode in a sort of freak lithium battery accident, at least it will have been live, and hopefully they'll let you put ads on it, Gonz, because
it would go viral. Yes, man in googly-eyed VR goggles explodes.
Man in googly-eyed goggles catches fire as lithium battery engulfs him and his whole household on live stream. Okay, I think that's it. Listen, you know, it's just a weird week, man. You know, I mentioned financial producership is slower than usual, but also all producership. You know, our art's been a little slow. Sound has been a little slow. Audio production's been a little slow. I think it's just kind of something's going on in the world, man.
It's a spring, man. The spring equinox.
Either people are getting into their bomb shelters and or losing internet access, or just outside barbecuing and enjoying themselves instead of sitting inside watching us all day. But no matter what, we're so grateful for the people who participate in the Value for Value model. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
And love seeing the talents displayed of our very talented producers. Okay, ready to wake up?
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
It is Antarctica time.
So a new discovery.
Antarctica.
Gonz, this is so chock-a-block full of messaging. You're going to love it. So here we go, continuing to track Antarctica and how it is the beacon, the messaging continent, the center point for the new World Order 2.0. We're coming from TheGuardian.com. The headline, satellite data shows entire Conger ice shelf has collapsed in Antarctica. Ooh, a collapse, Gonz. An ice shelf about the size of Rome has completely collapsed in East Antarctica. Within days of record high temperatures, according to satellite data. Oh, it's too much. It's getting stuck in my throat, Gonz. I'm too excited. I can't even. Like the kids say nowadays, I can't even. I mean, using Antarctica, or describing rather Antarctica,
a piece of Antarctica,
a piece of it on the east side of Antarctica, which I don't know how you measure east on the thing that is on the bottom of the globe, allegedly.
Yeah, well, on a flat Earth model.
Can you Google East Antarctica?
I think there's a picture right here that shows kind of a
Well, kind of. It's like not big enough, but okay, we'll figure it out. So, long story short, describing the collapse of Rome in Antarctica. Like, why choose Rome?
Why Rome?
Certainly there's something of a similar size that you could have compared this to, but no, you had to put Rome and collapse in the same sentence in regards to East Antarctica.
Okay, I have
and
a
then
map.
referring to the high temperatures.
I have a map here, and it looks like, it's the same map of Antarctica that I've seen, where you have kind of the peninsula on the left.
Whose territory is it? That's what I want to know.
Oh, okay. Let me go back to. I got to go look at that one chart again.
Is it
Australian? I think it's mostly Australia. Yeah.
Is it the Australia territory?
Yeah, it's the Australian side. But I'll double check.
The Australian territory is where the blast of superheated air got shot over, from China over Australia.
Those Aussies need to lay off the laser beams, man.
The laser blasted. Oh my gosh. And that was my rant at the end, was talking about going up to the space laser and shooting guys, you weren't really supposed to do that.
That was our whole theory, right? They were trying to get some crop circles going, and somebody hit the handle. Oh no! And then it shoots and melts something.
It's
in Antarctica.
a whole thing.
You melted Rome in Antarctica. How dare you?
So back to the article here.
Yes, sorry.
So you have a clear allusion to Rome and the collapse of Rome, compared to, Antarctica, spot in Antarctica, the collapse. Of course, the United States as an empire has been sort of considered the greatest empire since Rome.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a modern Rome, but just how Rome collapsed, the U.S. can collapse in the same way. Nobody thought Rome could collapse. It was supposed to be an indestructible empire, and that's why it's sort of not just historic, but kind of, even esoteric and occult reference to the collapse of Rome is very powerful, and why it stands out so much in this article. But let's learn a little bit more. The Conger ice shelf, which had an approximate surface area of 1,200 square kilometers, collapsed around 15th of March, scientists said on Friday. East Antarctica saw unusually high temperature last week, with Concordia Station hitting a record. Yes, we know. Zooming down, ice shelves are extensions of ice sheets that float over the ocean, playing an important role in restraining inland ice. Without them, inland ice flows faster into the ocean, resulting in sea level rise. Now, what is the other reason we're always giving for sea level rise? Climate change.
Climate change.
The climate change is causing sea level rise.
Climate change.
And this collapse was explicitly, even by climate change scientists, this collapse was caused by the temperature spike, which was explicitly not climate change. So we have just an interesting example of not climate change causing sea level rise. But okay. Dr. Catherine Colella Walker, an Earth and planetary scientist at NASA and the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, said though the Conger ice shelf was relatively small, quote, it is one of the most significant collapse events anywhere in Antarctica since the early 2000s, when the Larsen B ice shelf disintegrated. Again, you have this conversation of like, oh, this collapse is the most significant collapse since the last significant collapse. And again, I refer to the collapse of Rome.
Collapse of Rome.
Or if the U.S. collapsed, it would be the most significant collapse of an empire.
Yeah, what would rise in its place?
Yes, and what is the sea level rise that would happen from the United States collapsing, There's a lot going on here, man. It won't have huge effects, most likely, but it's a sign of what might be coming. Ooh, the Conger ice shelf had been shrinking since the mid-2000s, kind of like the U.S. maybe, but only gradually until the beginning of 2020, Walker said. By 4th March of this year, the ice shelf appeared to have lost more than half its surface area compared to January measurements of around 1,200 kilometers. And then it goes on to just some more stuff. What, you want to hear about more ice cubes and stuff?
Nah, we don't have to.
Quote, we still treat East Antarctica like this massive, huge, dry, cold, and immovable ice cube, he said. Current understanding largely suggests you can't get the same rapid rates of ice lost as in West Antarctica due to the geometry of the ice and the bedrock there. This collapse, especially if you tied to the extreme heat brought by the mid-March atmospheric river event, will drive additional research into these processes in the region. So we must flood the zone with more scientists, Gonz.
I'm looking at this. They have like a little video or GIF here of the final 4.5 years of the now collapsed Conger ice shelf. So, okay, so this is 4.5 years. It was pretty dramatic. So I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. But then 4.5 years. All right. Well, what does that have to? Was that climate change? Like what?
Since early,
why are they telling us?
You know, it was the early Trump administration.
Right. Orange man heating up the world.
It's been collapsing since Trump was in office. So we know who to blame. Much like the collapse of the American empire, he weakened us in the eyes of the world. But good thing Biden is here to be such a tough guy.
I just unplugged my headphones. Sorry, I cannot hear you. I'm probably talking.
Yeah, you don't need to hear me. He's acting like this was an accident, but he did this on purpose, folks. He's tired of hearing of my crazy theories. But you can't hide from the truth, Gonz. You can't run from the truth.
There we go. What?
Listen, it will set you free.
Okay, I want to read this part here. Scientists are particularly concerned about the future of the Florida-sized Thwaites Glacier, also nicknamed the Doomsday Glacier, which is around 100 times larger than Larsen B and contains enough water to raise sea levels globally by more than half a meter. Quote, the speed of the breakup of the Conger ice shelf reminds us that things can change quickly. Our carbon emission will have an impact in Antarctica, and Antarctica will come back to bite the rest of the world's coastlines.
Whoa.
And it may happen faster than we think. Okay, if there's a large geological change and the culprit is Antarctica, what does that do geopolitically, you know? Anyway.
We must occupy.
We must occupy.
We must occupy.
Resources, everyone descend upon Antarctica, the winter wonderland, our victory over climate change. Celebrate at the ice party.
Indeed. Doomsday Glacier. Love it.
I also had this. I just thought there's not really a big story here. This is from kent.ac.uk, University of Kent. And the headline is Greenhouse to Ice House, Fossils to Forests, and Dinosaurs Amid Ice Sheets of Antarctica. I was like, ooh, dinosaurs. Again, it's just a little thing here, just announcing this thing. But the person who wrote this, her name is Dame Jane Francis.
Dame Jane Francis.
Professor Dame Jane Francis.
Is she a dame? Has she been damed by the Queen?
I don't know. I didn't check, but I can check now.
I mean, it could be professor, but what would come first, professor or dame? It would be dame. I guess it would be professor, because dame is like your name. It becomes part of your name. So it'd be professor, dame. Yeah, it's probably a dame.
Dame Jane. Yeah, because and then Francis. Like, is there any connection to Pope Francis? Or?
Yeah, that's how names work. Like, if you have the same name,
your same bloodline of lizard people. Yeah.
Same everything.
I don't know. It just kind of jumped out at me. Interesting. People with all the Antarctica connected people have interesting names.
They're all in there, man. It's all connected.
It's all.
I mean, you got Robert Swan and Swan Helena or whatever. Swan Hellenistic.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Bob Swan.
I was trying to fall asleep last night, and I kept thinking about Robert Swan and the Swan Helena. What is it called? I need to find the actual name of it.
Yeah,
but
Swan
the boat.
Hellenic, something like that.
Hellenic. That's what it is. The Swan Hellenic. And, you know, we were kind of going through the esoteric, you know, meanings of that. And the Zeus thing, of course, kept popping up into my head. And I also thought, is like, if you're going to name your boat Zeus, it's a really roundabout way to do it, which I mentioned. But also the weirdest version of Zeus to like refer to, because you got like the angry Zeus, you got the strong lightning bolt Zeus, you got the bad father
Isn't there
Zeus. You've got the philanderer Zeus.
What was
but then you've got the Zeus who turned into a rascally goose to go to Earth and be like basically a sexual predator. And what a strange version of Zeus to name a boat after.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on.
I'm just looking at Dame Jane's wiki, which is really big. Really, she's very qualified to be one of the spokespeople, I guess, to draw attention to dinosaur bones in the ice Arctic sheets. It says here in the 2017 New Year honors, Francis was appointed Dame Commander of the Order of St. Michael and St. George for services to polar science and diplomacy. We might be hearing more from Dame Jane.
Yeah, we might need to add a Dame Commander level to the Canary Cry roundtable.
I mean, they got, I'm looking
Dame
at this
Commander is a
Order
cool
of
thing.
St. Michael and St. George.
Yeah,
British
well, we
order.
don't need to add that.
Yeah, I know, but it's got the whole, purple metal thing, the whole deal. Order of Chivalry.
Yeah,
So
okay, so she's a real dame.
Yep, real
she's
dame.
the real deal. All right, we need to end the show.
Okay.
You done?
Yeah.
You
Yes, I'm done.
You done, bro?
Yeah, I'm done, man. I need to go home. This is.
I know my brain is hurting. Here we go, folks. We're ending the show. Thank you much for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We're going to be back on Monday. That is the 28th of March. Holy smokes! So be here. It's going to be awesome. I want to thank our a few more producers, of course. Thanking our clip producers. Yeah.
Thanks.
That's right. Emsworth, Faylivern, and Epsilon working hard to keep clips going up on the Clips channel. I saw a couple of clips went up during the show. So more clips all the time, folks. Go follow Canary Cry Clips on YouTube and Odysee. I also want to thank our time stampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right. Timestamps are hard work, but it really helps us out in all sorts of fashions with sort of the back end of what we got going on at Canary Cry. And I want to thank Jade Bouncerson for doing Wednesday's timestamps. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, head on over to Canary Cry Meetups.
Canary Cry Meetups.
You head on over to Canary Cry Meetups. You can see all of our meetups. It's so important, especially these days. What's better than meeting up or meeting new people or meeting friends again who, are on the same level with all the most important things. Not everybody has to agree about everything, but the foundation that is, bringing people together is enough to have a wonderful time. And they're happening all over the place, folks. We've got the East Texas meetup coming up. We've got the Pennsylvania meetup. We've got a San Diego meetup. And I just got word that we have a new meetup for
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Yeah.
San Antonio is having another meetup on Saturday, April 23rd. Okay, love it. That'll be at 3:30 p.m. Chapala, Jalisco. In San Antonio, Texas. So they're happening all over the place. You can also join up with one of the Zoom meetups if you are one of those people who likes to meet up digitally. It's all good. Head on over to CanaryCry.Meetups.com.
This is fun. See you at the
I save you, bro. Don't worry, I save you.
Thanks, buddy. Oh, it's Friday. Okay, let's read some ratings and reviews. Yippee! Yes. Thank you to those who left ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and or Audible. It really helps us out. When you leave ratings and reviews, it tells those robots to share the show with people. So we've got some reviews here. Let's see. When was the last time we read them? Was the 18th. Finding the right one. Okay, here we go. Sentinels. The whole Sentinels friend thing. Okay, there we go. All right. It doesn't look actually like we got very much reviews this week, Gonz. That's a little sad. I'm going to check in our other place.
Is this, I see a couple here that I don't think we've read. The Frugal Brutal and Chauncey Lump.
We've got a couple, yes. Okay. I'm going to look. Are you on Apple Podcasts?
I am, yeah. It's pulled up if you want me to.
And those are the ones that you see.
Yes, the two I see.
Okay. Well, that's it. Here are only 2 meetups. 2 meetups. Gosh, my brain is fried. Okay.
It's okay. I'm pretty tired too. So
it's just
it's been a rough week. This week's
It's a rough week, hasn't it?
Lack of sleep. Okay. I hit the wall every night. Yeah.
It's a thing, man. Okay, ratings and reviews. Thank you to Chauncey Lump for leaving this review from the United States. 5 stars. Do not want to visit from Gonz's uncle. Great show, fellas. Thank you very much, Chauncey Lump.
Thank you, Chauncey.
And then we got one more here from Frugal Brutal from the U.S. 5 stars. The finest in news deconstruction. NA fans pay attention. Ooh, okay. No agenda fans. ITM to you. First heard of this show during a producer segment of the No Agenda podcast. So glad I listened to produce segments. Yes, indeed. Hosts Basil and Gonz are top tier news deconstructionists. Like Adam and John, their personalities perfectly complement each other, resulting in a show that is as entertaining as it is informative. As a late Gen Xer, I appreciate the insight and knowledge into more millennial era subjects that the relatively younger hosts have that is not as strong in other like shows. That's true. We are kind of the young bucks doing this.
Yeah.
Their adherence to the value for value model keeps them unshackled by the chains of advertisers. I support this model in word and deed and urge all to do the same. When Adam and John find their exit strategy, be assured that Basil and Gonz will be there to pick up the torch and continue to shed light on the darkness that is the propagandistic presentation of the mainstream media. Godspeed, Canary Cry News Talk, and God bless us all. Wow, what an incredibly flattering review there, Frugal Brutal.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Love having.
Yeah, love having No Agenda people find our show. And my goodness, a higher compliment could not be paid. That eventually, when Adam and John find their exit strategy, whether that be financial or sort of existential. Yes, that would be that is very high praise. Thank you very much, Frugal Brutal.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, there's some potentially some cool stuff coming up for people that would listen to both shows. So we'll tease that.
Indeed. But yep. Okay, there you go. That's all the ratings and reviews. No ooh-woo this week, Gonz. But thank you, everybody, for listening to me read them. And then going and leaving your own reviews, because I'm speaking as if you realize that how important this is, and I appreciate. You've got some audibles.
Yeah, I got an Audible review here.
Okay, let's hear it.
And this is from Terry Argo. Best news talk. Period.
Oh my goodness.
I've been listening to / watching Gonz for years and only started listening to / watching Canary Cry fairly recently. I finally got tired of not being able to see / hear the last part of the show because of YouTube's heinous suppression of facts and truth, or I mean censorship. I seriously think Hitler, Stalin, and Mao would be quite impressed with YouTube's ability to manipulate and suppress truth and facts.
He would.
They would all be like, "Oh, wow!"
They were impressed before, and they would be even more impressed now.
Anyways,
very effective.
I highly recommended Canary Cry News Talk with Basil and Gonz. They're great guys fighting for truth, and I always love the humor and unique flavor they bring to the table. Funny story, I actually didn't like Basil at first, mainly because I was used to just watching Gonz, but now I couldn't imagine the show without him.
Tale as old as time.
And think of them both as brothers, because we are in fact brothers in Christ. May God bless and protect both of you and your families. Praise Jesus for Canary Cry.
What a wonderful review. My goodness. What a wonderful way to end the show.
Feels
here
good
in these
to end it.
Wonderful reviews. Yeah, it feels good to end it for me too, Gonz. So I think I'm just going to tell everybody the basics and then a very short rant. Let's get out of here.
Okay.
It's time for the weekend.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. You know the deal. Produce the show.
You know the
Produce
deal.
You know the
right
thing. Just cut the stream.
You know the deal.
You know the deal. Bye. No, you know the deal. We'll need some producers for next episode. I'm really, I get it. Things are hard. The world is weird, and value for value support is the first thing to get cut from the budget. And so don't feel like we don't understand that. But this is the moment when those of you who might be in a better position than others might be right now, this is your turn. It's your turn to carry the load while,
you're up like North Korea.
Well, you're up, baby. You're up to bat. Yeah, you're Kim. All those Kim Jung Uns out there have been making cool movies and launching missiles. It's your turn, baby.
This is the only show where a producer, a supporter of the show, will be compared to a bench warmer, which is an analogy of a North Korean dictator.
Yes, and
it's flattering.
And they'll like it. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. I do want to thank the producers of this episode, starting with our executive producer, Gabby L., our supply drop producer, Gabby L., and the rest of our producers, Odysee Strength, Jonathan F., Sir JC, Knight of the Techno Squatch, Sir Holmes, Good and Faithful Knight of the Canarium, LX Protocol V2, more of Angela H., Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, Sir James, Knight and Servant of the Lion of Judah, Dr. Who Done That, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, Jackie U, Runk Smash, Veronica D. and Gail, thank you very much for making this show possible. It warms our hearts and literally warms our food at night. And if you want to produce the show, head on over to CanaryCry.radio.com/support.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at what happened to a Rumble.
Every time.
No, I'm sorry.
Every time.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm
Odysee
seeing.
got cut off.
Okay, I'm seeing Gail in the chat saying we have some winners to announce. Did you receive an email from Gail? I'm looking in the email. Let me do a quick
Gail
search. Gail. Okay, here's an email from last week. I don't know, Gail. I don't have anything. I'm sorry. Do you have the Proton mail open, Gonz?
I do. I looked. I don't see anything.
Anything from Gail? Okay. All right. We'll have to save it for next episode, Gail. I'm sorry. I don't see any emails or information. So there you go. Gail's gratitude grab bag winners will be announced on Monday, and you're going to be so happy about it because I am, and that's what matters. You feel exactly like me. Where was I?
I don't know. We're trying to end the show, right?
Yeah, let's get out of here. Support the show. Send in your art. Send in everything. Canary Cry.
Whoa.
What is our email? CanaryCryRadio@gmail.com. Share the show with your friends, your family. Share it with the penguins. Share it with the ice. Share it with the space lasers. Share it. Go shout it from the rooftops. Go to your local supermarket and buy all of the avocados, and then stand outside and give the avocados away for free and say, this is from your best buddies, Basil and Gonz. Go listen to the podcast and enjoy some guacamole. If you need any more instructions, we like to call it rattling cages. And what do you do? You walk right up to him, you grab by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of
My
the world
brain!
occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
All right, words. Do you have any last Gonz? I think whatever's happening to my power battery thing, I think maybe
messing with you. It's Russia.
It's shooting out. Yes, Russia has hacked my emergency backup battery, and is giving me Havana syndrome.
Oh, I got a little cramp in my back. That didn't feel right.
This is a good this is a good segment for the end of the show. We just sort of groan, and just sort of name the things that hurt on our body. I think that'd be a very sort of relatable segment.
I have a scripture that might cheer us up.
Please.
It's from Hosea 6, okay? Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but he will heal us. He has injured us, but he will bind up our wounds.
Yeah.
That's how I feel right now. I feel like
that is how I feel
just
too.
Totally torn apart.
Yeah. I need to get a taller chair. My knees are hurting.
Yeah, you need to stop podcasting in the kneel squat position.
I am. Yeah, we haven't discussed that.
You're not Asian. You need a
No. It's true. My knees were not made for this. The Vikings had stools. All right. What else? Anything else hurt, Gonz, or should we get out of here?
I think we're done.
My neck hurts a little bit too.
Okay, let's not turn it into a complaining session.
No, it's not complaining. This is bragging.
What are you bragging?
Bragging.
Okay, Biden.
My body hurts more than yours.
Debatable.
Yeah, that's true. No, you're definitely in way more pain than I am. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Cosmos, children in the space lane.
I'm an adult in a spaceship.
Supersonic space lane screamed to life and the vehicle swooped upward on board. The passengers experienced a 3 G's of force burst of extreme acceleration and watched the blue sky fade into space.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Oh, yeah.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Yes. Do it, Richard. Do it, Jeff. Do it for humanity.
To all you kids down there. I was once a child with a dream.
No, I'm an adult in a spaceship.
He can accomplish it. You
can too.
Windows, cool. Rocket ship, cool. Space plane, cool.
Nukes,
cool.
Blowing stuff up,
cool. Space plane, astronaut, rocket ship.
CBS anchor.
We have Bezos, a human. Just look at him. Go to the bathroom in bags. He can go to the bathroom in the cosmos. It changed everything. Wives in space, children in the cosmos. With your best friend, brother. Wives in the cosmos, children in the space lane.
We are headed to space.
O Lord, how long shall I cry for help and you will not hear? Why must I witness these grievances? Destruction and violence are before me, and strife continues to rise. The law is paralyzed, and true justice never goes forth. The wicked have surrounded the righteous, and their justice is perverted. Look among the nations, and marvel, declares the Lord. I am doing a work in your day that you would not believe even if told. For behold, I am raising up the Chaldeans, who march through all the earth to seize dwellings not their own. They are dreaded and fearsome. Dignity has no place in them. They are lawless men, whose own might is their God. O Lord, my God, my everlasting Holy One, we shall not die, for you have ordained them as a judgment. You have established them for repentance. You make mankind like the fish of the sea, like creatures with no ruler. The enemy brings them up with a hook. He drags them out with his net and he rejoices. Therefore he sacrifices to his hook, and he makes offerings to his net. For it is by them that he lives in luxury. But shall he continue casting his net and killing nations forever? The Lord says, still, the prophecy awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come, and it will not delay. Behold, the adversary is puffed up. His soul is not upright within him. But the righteous shall live by faith. Desire is a traitor. His arrogance is never at rest, and like death, it never has its fill. He gathers from all nations, he collects from all peoples. But your victims will rise, and because you have plundered many nations, the remnant of the peoples shall plunder you. You have reaped shame for your house by cutting off others. You have forfeited your own life. All the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord. For what profit is an idol when man has shaped it? Woe to him who calls to life the works of his own hands, who says, "Arise," to a silent stone. Can this teach? It is overlaid with metals, and there is no breath in it at all. But as for the Lord, he is in his holy temple, and all the earth shall be left in silence before him.
Every website you go to, as most of you will know, you're being tracked by several different companies for a lot of different purposes. And it's this great little thing that every website that I visit, it'll count every company, every piece of software that tracks where I'm going, and tells me who it is, and it also blocks them.
Do you think there is a record? I mean, obviously that software keeps track of the number of blocks it's made and things like that.
Every large software company is tracking things. Facebook tracks you, Twitter tracks you, everything tracks you. Big bad data that they sort of put together for, as a profile for you and kept, for others to see. And is that your profile is actually bought and sold many times every day to different companies, ad companies, and all sorts of things like that. So here's the question is, are you okay with being tracked everywhere you go if it's for quote-unquote your own good? We're tailoring the internet to you.
unsafe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.